Hare Krishna, ladies and gentlemen. This is Vandal the Love Handle Drummond with Fredo.
How's everybody doing now?
Fredo?
Wasn't that awful?
You sounded so enthusiastic.
I was so unenthused in saying that. I was busy reading about. I was reading some tweets about like Cibernetico.
Oh yeah, good, because that's something that's in motion now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Well, let's try it again.
We're taping this on a Friday, so...
On a Friday, and so let's try it again. Hey, this is The Freak, along with Frito Esparza. Hare Krishna, ladies and gentlemen. Ready for a fun-filled, exciting evening of Lucha World, episode number 49.
You're trying to do a radio voice like Brian Alvarez, huh?
Yeah, hybrid between Brian Alvarez and Gary Owens.
Remember that before we met before I met Brian Alvarez, like, in person, I asked you if that was really, because you had done a podcast with him, right?
Yes.
An appearance, a guest appearance with him, and I asked you if that was really his voice, and you're like, yeah, that's his voice. And then when I finally met him, I'm like, oh, that really is his voice.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally.
He's got this very why, I don't want to sound
exuberant,
very radio, like a DJ voice.
Yeah, it's like. I want to feel as lively as it sounds like he feels.
Yeah.
Because he looks like he's just so full of energy. I want to feel that.
Well, I just thought it was... The voice just cracked me up. When I was like, whoa, that's his voice?
Yeah, it's the real thing.
Yeah.
It's the real thing. You know? It's...
Yeah. Lots to talk about.
Wow. I cannot think of... Well, one, we're covering...
We were going to do a podcast, I think, like 2 weeks ago. Well, I actually thought about doing a podcast 2 weeks ago when I asked you. But apparently, I had been invited to be a guest on Mark Cole's Winter Palace podcast.
Yeah, we should go over this, yes.
Which was we had a good show, talked about Alberto. Actually, at that time, I mean, the last podcast, we didn't talk about Alberto because that hadn't happened.
Right.
So I did that podcast and talked about Alberto leaving AAA. So right when I'm doing that podcast, I think somewhere around that time, Chris Zellner wrote that he was doing a podcast, and I didn't know who the guest was. And then all of a sudden, like I think Mark Cole and I were done like by 7:00 Pacific time, and so then I think Chris Zellner wrote that he was still doing a podcast, and then like an hour later, he's like, "We're still going, but our guest tapped out." And I was like, I wonder who that guest is. So then the next day, I think that was when he posted the show or something. And that's when we found out that Kurt Brown was doing the show with Chris Zellner and David Bixenstein.
And I did tap out after, I forget how long it was. It was
we even talked about that on Mark Cole's podcast about Chris's really long podcasts.
I got...
Which are great, you know, I'm not like...
Yeah, they're really good. And I just ran out of gas. And plus, I had to get up the next morning, too.
Yeah. I was like...
I had to get up at 4 o'clock the next morning.
We're on the West Coast, so what time did you get off the show? Doing the call and stuff?
I don't remember. I want to say...
10? 11?
No, it was before that. But it's like I thought...
But you're thinking... It's late for you.
Yeah, I was thinking an hour and a half.
Chris isn't in Georgia, man.
I want to say we're pushing 3 hours. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly.
Chris is in Georgia. I mean, he's probably doing that show like at midnight or 1 a.m. It's like...
And then for the last 3 Tuesdays, Fred Lazarus, who...
Yeah, I asked you about, like, right before you announced that you were on that show, I had asked you, hey, let's do a podcast. And you kind of like, yeah, maybe someday soon. And I was like, okay. So I thought maybe we were gonna do one at some point, and then I find out like a day later you did another podcast, the one you're gonna talk about.
Yeah, right 3 straight Tuesdays. Fred Lazarus has a really fun podcast called Durfcast. In fact, I got a text from Dan, our friend Dan Farron. I guess he's the most recent guest.
Dan was on the show.
Yeah, on Fred Lazarus' show, and. For people, Facebook friends who are on the California Classic page that Dan formed, Fred is a frequent poster. He has a podcast called Durfcast, and for the last 3 Tuesdays I've been a guest on his show. We found that we have 2 amazing things in common. Fred is a cancer survivor, like I am, and...
This is the other Fred, not me.
That's right.
Let's just correct
I keep forgetting you as Fred.
I know, Fredo. Yeah, everybody knows me as Fredo, so they forget that.
Yeah, Fred and Fredo seems like two different names. Fredo actually has a poetic ring to it where Fred has a more.
It's weird. Nobody's ever called me. It's always Fredo or Alfredo.
Yes.
I think they like it, the Latino.
It has a little
fire in it.
Mystique. Mas fuego.
Okay, back to the end.
The other thing he has in common is he has cats who he fusses over, just like I fuss over my cats. And then the other thing that was really cool after doing the first...
So you guys don't have in common that you like wrestling?
No. We do like wrestling, but that's not something we have in common.
That's the third. Because I would think that would be the other thing you had in common.
Yeah, no. We both like wrestling, but we don't have it in common.
Yeah, we don't have it in common. Okay.
Yeah, we
continue on with...
We butt heads on that.
Continue on with your tale of your podcast.
So anyways... we posted on Facebook about the show. He is in the San Francisco area. He's a few years older than I am, so he grew up on Roy Shire's wrestling and saw a smattering of Michael Abel too. And when he put the announcement of the podcast on Facebook, in the comments section, journeyman Mickey Doyle, who LA fans and San Francisco fans will remember as Irish Mickey Doyle, but whose coolest run was no doubt with Mike Boyette as the hippies in the early 70s in the Gulf Coast. He got in on the comments conversation, and Fred asked if he'd be a guest on the show. And so I got reunited with Mickey Doyle, who I had not actually conversed with in... probably 23 years.
Did you guys talk about Alberto Del Rio going back to WWE?
That's all we talked about. Yeah. That's why Mickey wanted to go on the show.
He wanted to go on the show. He wanted to go on the show and say how disappointed he was in the way Alberto and Caristico left AAA, right?
He said, back in my day when we worked for Lee Fields and Ed Farhat, that stuff didn't fly.
Yeah, we left the right way.
Yes, exactly. But I want to give Fred Lazarus a huge thank you because... Mickey Doyle was one of my first trainers.
Really?
Back in '84.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I met him at an indie show he was booked on, and we started hitting up. Dr. Jerry Graham conversation came up, and we kind of hit it off, and then I was surprised a few months later when he called me out of the blue because he was getting back to wrestling on a intermittent basis, and he says, I was wanting somebody to work out with, wondering if you're interested, and
wow,
because I watched it when I was a kid, so it was like, oh my god, you're asking me to I don't think I helped. What ended up happening was
he just needed somebody to beat on, basically.
Yeah, I was good at that too.
Yeah,
I was really good at that.
You were good at taking beatings.
No, he ended up teaching me more. I don't think he got anything out of working out with me, but I got a lot from him. He taught me more in a few hours than I...
What moves did he teach you?
The Santon, Swanton's bomb, the
Swanton bomb, the Hurricanrana.
All that
the
stuff.
tornillos.
Silly little backflips.
A lot of backflips.
But seriously, he taught me a lot more than I learned from just about anybody. I had a few people who showed me the basics and stuff like that, but...
Don't say anything. Somebody might be listening. One of your ex-trainers might be...
Kayfabe.
No, I learned some good stuff from other people, but I learned a lot from Mickey Doyle. And down-to-earth guy, so it was great reuniting on the Durfcast podcast, which you can find on SoundCloud. And now that we covered somebody else's podcast, let's get to our podcast. Yes. Fredo.
Not a lot going on.
Nothing
at all.
Not just in lucha and everything from MMA to quick mention just on a sad note, one of the SoCal local boys, Rising Sun, has passed away.
Superboy mentioned him on our podcast, the last podcast, I think. I asked him about it. Yeah.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot of details. It sounds like he died in his sleep. 33 years old.
Damn,
very sad to hear it. I was just like perusing Facebook, and this really hit a lot of people hard. And up in the Northwest, Ole Olsen, who I met a few times when I worked for Al Tomko up in Vancouver. Heart failure.
Nick Bockwinkel too.
Nick Bockwinkel.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess we should bring up the your one. Was that the first time you met him? No, right?
No. I would actually.
You've seen him a few times, like.
I actually went up and talked to him. He was a super nice guy. The only connection I really had was, I chat with his brother Bobby sometimes, who would ref our
Bobby
matches.
Bockwinkel.
Bobby Bockwinkel. Yeah, he wrestled the indie shows I was on.
Sorry, I had to laugh at that. That was just funny.
Bobby Bockwinkel, but if he was refereeing on a card that his brother was wrestling on, he became Robert Warren.
Oh, Joe. Well,
seriously.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's good.
But anyways, I'd go up to him and just say, "Hey, what's your brother up to?" And
Did you see a lot of Bockwinkel when he was younger, or not really?
I actually was really lucky. Actually, first time I ever met him, somewhere I don't actually have a picture of me with him, but you know how they've been joking about that oversized championship belt he had?
Yeah.
Somewhere I have a picture of me with my bleach blonde hair with that belt that was like bigger than I was at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
this was here in LA, or
no? This was in Houston when
the convention,
the Wrestling Fans Convention. Paul Bosch was hosting it, and Bockwinkel came and hung out with the fans and let everybody get a photo with the belt, which back in '81 was a big deal.
Did you ask him, was wrestling real?
Yeah, and he says, "Oh no, everything's fake.
Yeah,
didn't you know that kid? What are you, an idiot?" No, but Bockwinkel was like, I got to actually see him wrestle a lot in the early '80s.
Oh, really?
I wasn't even searching out matches of his. Just I saw him wrestle a 60-minute draw with.
Because most of what I saw was like when he was already like the mid to late '80s. So.
And that was when he was winding it up.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
I saw him wrestle a 60-minute draw with Tony Atlas in Houston.
And he was still a lot better than a lot of the stuff that was on AWA back then.
He was amazing. Yeah, some of that AWA was hard to... I'll be honest, it was hard to watch.
Because I remember watching like 88, 89 AWA, and like... Actually, it might have been... Because Bockwinkel was still around till like 90, wasn't he? Like 1990, I think, was probably his last year. 90, 91.
Yeah, that might even be pushing it. But
89?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah.
I know, well, on tape you could see it, but like... I just remember... Well, the AWA after he was done was when it got a lot worse too. So it's
God! Yeah,
I think I'm probably mixing it in because I think Bockwinkel was. I saw like when he feuded with Kurt Hennig.
Yes.
And then like after that, I think kind of like he started cutting down his schedule and stuff. I think he retired around late '80s, wasn't he? He was done by late '80s.
Yes,
yeah.
And even when he was past his prime, he was still awesome.
Because it was Sabisco that was, hey, here comes the train again. I was doing the podcast with Mark Cole, and he was amused.
Petticoat Junction.
Yeah, he was amused that there's trains that pass here. We're right across the train track.
We got to get some rocking chairs and hear the sound of the chairs creaking. Oh, there goes another train.
You know what it reminds me of when you watch that one show where the guy lives in like an apartment building right next to like a train track, and the guy's trying to sleep, and you just hear the train like just moving around.
Or was it Annie Hall when Woody Allen talks about growing up beneath a roller coaster in an amusement park? And, but no, Bockwinkel. In fact, I'll never forget. The biggest shocker was I remember Southwest Championship Wrestling. Sometimes he'd make appearances on it, and I remember, of all things, seeing the match. I want to say it was with Mike Graham, and it was in.
Probably was because I think that was they had one match.
Yeah,
they would always repeat on other wet places.
Yeah, well, but it was funny because it was a bad match, and I just sat there shocked because I don't think I ever saw either of them having a bad match. I hate to even bring. I don't mean to bring that up to knock him. It's just. Bockwinkel was one of the smoothest workers I've ever seen, ever. And it was so weird, like, what's wrong here? I still to this day wonder, because, you could see them talking to each other, and it looked like he just didn't want to be there.
Yeah, something must have happened to them. Where it's...
Yeah, but the reason I bring it up is because that was very rare. Bockwinkel was
I like how you bring
amazing.
up the worst match possible for Nick Bockwinkel.
I brought it up only in contrast.
I did mention the Kurt Hennig match, which was good.
Yeah, I just, in contrast, because other than that, I never saw Nick Bockwinkel have anything but a really, really good match.
Yeah.
I mean, a 60-minute draw with Tony Atlas, they did that whole thing where he's barely hanging on to the championship toward the last 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He was just something.
He was good.
Yeah.
So let's get to the lucha now.
Yep, time to
stop talking about death.
Yep.
I'm getting depressed now.
Yeah, I just want to give a salutation to those guys and just some condolences to, folks who knew all these cats.
La Sombra.
La Sombra, in my mind, that's the biggest news.
That's the biggest news because he just left. He's like the most recent one. And it actually, it's weird because I think it kind of, the way CMLL was booking La Sombra was like why is he losing so much? Losing his mask, losing his belt, constantly losing.
People are still despairing over him losing his mask.
Yeah. But it's like, it's one of those things where like now you understand why he was losing because he was already on his way out. And he must have told CMLL ahead of time. I was
going to say, this was actually
and it's actually like
a well-kept secret, wasn't it?
Well-kept secret, and also the way CMLL let him still headline and was still featuring him. I mean, they featured him on an iPay-per-view, which they barely started doing iPay-per-views.
Yes.
And then they had him be the big, he was still the top guy at the end. I mean, like the mass match, understandable, because I mean they were going to get a big payoff of that, but then like still have him like be the featured guy, and the cool thing was like Sombra putting over guys that he actually likes at the end.
Yes.
Like, Ultimo Guerrero from La Laguna, which is where La Sombra's from, the Torreon area. So he that was his like kind of like his payback, like, hey, thanks for everything you've done. As much, even they might not like each other. I don't know this, like, but guys, they might have like issues and stuff.
There can be personal differences, but there's professional.
You always have a certain respect for the guy who came before you from that same area. Like Blue Panther still thought of very highly in that area. He's considered the guy who got that going in that area. So then he did that for that guy. Then you go to Atlantis, who's like a legend,
and that was
put him over.
That was the most fun I've had watching a wrestling match in a long, long time.
Then he puts over his longtime rival, Volador Jr., and then he puts over his best friend, Rush, which I thought was amazing.
The way they set up the match with him and Rush, with the Increíbles team, with...
see if you remember the teams.
I can't remember who teamed with who.
Rush and Mystico versus La Sombra and Volador Jr.
Yes. And I should have remembered that because...
Their brother.
There was that great spot after the match where... Volador fireman carries Mystico as if he's going to help him, and then did he shove a drink in his face? That was awesome.
As he's carrying him, this tells you how light Mystico is. He's carrying him up the stairs. He sees a cup. Some fan hands him a cup, or the cup is right there. He grabs the cup of a drink. Somebody had felt the urge to tell me it was cerveza, like beer. It's like, okay, dude, relax. It's a drink. Who gives a fuck?
Yes.
This is what I hate. People always have to go with small details, like, who cares? And so he grabs that. He's still carrying Mystico.
Liquid.
Yes, then he like lets him go, and then he just throws the drink at him. It's just cracked me up. I love it. And then Rush not helping, really going out of his way to help his brother, which he explained later was he wanted him to like man up and be like a man, be able to,
which is a cool
explanation, be able to defend himself. Yeah. And then La Sombra and Rush, their like whole thing.
And the way because I loved it, they went in looking like they weren't going to touch each other
till the very end.
Wow, I mean, Incredibles matches are a cool concept, but they don't always pan out in my mind. Some, they're intriguing.
Yeah.
This one told the story better than
it really depends on like what they're building up to. Because I think if there's really nothing to build up, they kind of like that will be like the setup.
Exactly.
And it doesn't really doesn't come off as well to what it eventually leads to.
I mean, you've seen more than I have. This was...
Well, you know what I've...
As far as telling a story...
You know what I've noticed lately is, like, Volador Jr.'s been very rough with Mystico. Like, have you noticed? Like,
Yes.
That day that Caristico showed up, the first match that would happen was, I think was Mystico versus Volador. Mystico and someone else. No, it was the Battle Royal. I think it was the Battle Royal, and it was Volador like just being really rough with Mystico, and it was just one of those funny moments where you're like, then this match he got really rough with him. Even in their matches when they're in trios, he like throws them all over the place like a rag doll, which I mean is really what you're gonna do with him now because he's really not. He's not as skilled as like Volador or some of these other guys who could do other stuff.
Yeah,
he's basically more of a handful of spots. I mean, and he's so thin too. He's not his brother Dragon Lee either. So.
Exactly. I feel kind of bad for him being put in this spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it does seem like he tries. I'm not.
Well, you know what it is.
Somebody for
it like from all the guys that I've heard talk about Mystico, and it's not just like the guy. His brothers have said it. They don't think he's like 100% recovered mentally from the injuries that he's had from the accident and all that.
That was a wicked accident. I'm amazed he came back as quickly as he did.
Not just that, but the shoulder separation that happens. It happens a lot. So it's like he's kind of like, I think it's in the back of his head where it's like he's worried. It kind of, because like I was telling Volador that one day I was talking to him, I go, I've noticed when he does a dive, he doesn't land. He lands in a certain position where he protects one of his legs, and he's like, yeah, because he's worried about his leg. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why Ric Flair always took the back drops on his side, is because of his back injury in the plane crash.
Yeah,
it just stays with guys do that.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people aren't keen on him, but Mystico, I don't see him hurting anybody.
Well, more likely he'll get hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my main concern. If somebody's working hard and I guess he's not getting over gangbusters. I mean, I don't think they hate him, but
they hate him.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the fans. I mean, you're not. The promotion likes him. I mean, they're doing everything they can with him.
And some just...
They put him in these trios because they know that they want to cover up his weaknesses. Because I mean, the first trio he was with was Valiente when Valiente was really peak Valiente.
Yeah.
And Mascara Dorada, which was you put him in there. These guys can pretty much carry the match, and you just have to do a dive.
Hell yeah.
And then when Mascara Dorada went to Japan, they had Volador Jr. join that group, and that still worked. I mean, Valiente's kind of like gotten a little too muscular, so it's kind of like
he's kind of different Valiente, isn't he? I miss the old Valiente.
Yeah. Oh, well,
he was a hybrid between.
Everybody's like, we miss the fat Valiente, and it's like, dude, that's so mean, but it's like it's true. It's like I don't even miss. It's not so much the fat Valiente; it's like just the regular normal Valiente.
He looked like a cross between Sombra and Super Astro.
Yeah.
I dug his look. And you see this kind of thick-built guy, but he moved like...
Yeah, and now he's just, like, muscular. Like, it's like,
There's muscular guys everywhere.
Well, he's tiny, though, so it's still kind of...
I guess so.
There's still a difference, but it's like, it's still not... It's just not the same Valiente. So back to Sombra. It was funny because he kept being... Ever since the rumor came out that he was going to WWE, he's constantly brought up that it wasn't... It wasn't true.
Just nixing it.
They even did the joke when him and Rush were after a match. We're talking about how they were going to go next Monday to beat up John Cena on Raw, and they were still joking about it. So then Sombra did They did a news feature. TV Azteca in Mexico did a news feature on Sombra, and they were asking him about WWE. And he kind of still said he didn't have a contract. He's like, when I have a contract, I'll tell you guys if I'm gone. He's like, until I don't have anything signed, I'm still here. And so, but he was very open about his dream was to be in WWE. As soon as he said that, he's leaving.
And remember Superboy saying that's what everybody's goal is?
Everybody's goal is it doesn't matter. I mean, you could put all these, like, people will write, CML has to do more and stuff like that. These guys, that's their dream. Arena Mexico is one of the dreams for guys in Mexico. One of their dreams is to step into Arena Mexico.
I mean, Rey Mysterio still hasn't done that. That's one of his.
Rey Mysterio has.
Junior?
Yes, he was there for a month in 2002, 2002, right after WCW.
Really?
Yeah, he teamed up with he was with Negro Casas.
I remember seeing an interview where he said he still wanted to wrestle in.
Yeah, he was there for a month.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, wow. You were really out of the loop.
You already know that.
Yeah, that's embarrassing, Kurt.
Yeah, right.
Robbie Hardy.
After all the stuff I forgot, this is embarrassing.
I like how people call me out for not knowing who Talisman Jr. is. Which is obscure.
I gotta say, that was pretty funny. That was funny. Akira Hokuto was a gal he was married to.
I don't even know. I honestly don't remember Talisman Jr. You could tell me. He's been on
Michinoku Pro.
Michinoku Pro. What does that have to do with?
Probably
how would
more Michinoku Pro than I have, and I booked Michinoku Pro.
I doubt I've ever seen him on Michinoku Pro. I would remember if I saw Michinoku Pro. I don't think I have seen him on Michinoku Pro.
I just got to give you shit.
But like in Mexico, I've never seen him in Lucha. I wouldn't remember Michinoku Pro. You really think I'm going to remember?
Of course I do.
The random names.
Yes.
They have some random Japanese dudes that I can't even remember. But Rey Mysterio, I mean, dude, that was a month long. He even had a pay-per-view match with Juventud Guerrero and all those guys, I think. In 2001. Here, I'll Google search it.
No.
Wikipedia.
After the podcast, these people don't want to hear us Google searching things.
Keep talking. We're talking about Sombra.
I totally believe you, of course. No,
you don't, Kurt.
It's just I remember like I think it was toward. It was when he was.
You must have heard that interview like when he was in WCW.
No, WWE. He was talking about how he still wanted to wrestle in Rio, Mexico.
Oh, jeez, that's sad. Fourth thing on Rey Mysterio is the kills wrestler thing. God,
oh, jeez,
that's still annoying.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Dude, don't you have any opinion on Sombra? You could talk about Sombra too.
I have a lot of opinions on Sombra, but you know the details. In fact, I have questions to ask.
Well, ask them. I can answer them while I'm searching.
Stop playing with that stupid Amazon Kindle Fire which you can get for $49.99 at Amazon Prime.
By clicking on, they could go through the Amazon ad on my website.
That's right. So if you go to LuchaWorld, you can find this Amazon Fire, that Kindle that I am yelling at Fredo about.
You don't see.
No, my question about Sombra is, okay, so we've heard the rumors for a bit, but how long was it kept under wraps?
I'm guessing August or late July, probably.
In this
because I'm guessing people must have, like, most people are mentioning October.
Yeah.
Like sometime in October when Conan mentioned it, that he had heard them talk about it, and Dave had heard about that 10 scouts going to Mexico, and the only one they found was La Sombra, that they found that fit WWE was La Sombra. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, yeah, I could understand he might, if you're looking for a specific wrestler type, La Sombra, but if you're looking for talent, there are plenty of guys in Mexico you could actually...
Yeah, but they're looking for a specific type. And you never know what's going through their head when they want to push a Mexican wrestler.
Yeah, so...
So anyways...
So then I'm guessing he must have known more or less back like in July or something. June, July.
Here's the thing. In this day and age, to keep...
Because how quickly did they go to the mass match right away?
Yes.
Maybe he wasn't had reached an agreement with them, but I'm guessing he must have already like heard from them where they were interested. Something must have come along where they must have heard something from him. Because remember, like back in September, I think Rob had asked him in Mexico if he was going to Japan, and he said he wasn't.
Yeah.
For the tag league. And that's starting. I think it's actually starting today. It's like so. So he still thought he was going to New Japan. So then everybody thought he was either going to. He was more or less going. That was something that Chris Donner was mentioning, that him and Steve Sims were debating. Steve thought he was going to New Japan.
Yes. And
Chris told him no, it's WWE. And I think once you got that WWE thing, because New Japan. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, all these groups are great, but like, if WWE wants you. If they give you the money, and you still have never been in WWE, and that's a dream that you've always had, that's where you're going.
Well, and especially when you see that the only guys who, like from Mexico, who really were huge stars were like Rey Mysterio Jr., Alberto Del Rio. It's like, if you could make it there, you could make it anywhere in their minds.
Yeah, back to Rey 2001, 2002 area.
Okay.
Yeah. I have some video. I'll post it. Okay,
I actually would like to see it. I wonder if he's talking...
Oh, you know what it is? He was wrestling without his mask, too, so it might be like a... I think he was wrestling without his mask.
Possibly.
That's probably why you don't remember.
Yeah, because I think
WWE blurred out everybody's memories of him being unmasked.
That's right. They even did that thing on Tough Enough where he takes off his mask.
And they covered it up?
Yes, and everybody's looking on astonished to see his face.
I think that's why you might have not remembered, because nobody really brings it up that much.
Exactly.
Nobody, like, it's something that people
By the time he lost his mask, people stopped watching WCW.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah, it took him on. Really? I don't remember that. Yeah, because I remember that was in between because that was like Eddie Guerrero also was on the indie circuit at that time.
Yes.
Because it was in between when he got fired from WWE that time period, and then he went back. I think Ray went before him or something like that. I remember that.
Gotcha.
So much. I mean, it's like people ask me about something from 2011. I was like, when was that? That was 4 years ago. Really? I can't remember that.
It freaks me out.
Yeah.
That's how it makes me feel old.
I'll be talking about like Sombra, and it's like, that match happened in 2011. Holy shit!
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
It feels like 3 months ago.
Yes. So back.
Well, now. So this is seriously in this day and age. That was a well-kept secret.
Yeah, and the other thing was the way they booked them. Like the way they booked them, you thought something was up, The only thing that you knew, most of the people who knew about it kind of sensed that something was up, but it kept going on. It was like it kept going on. Whereas like after he lost his mask, everybody assumed, oh, that might be his couple of weeks. He's gone. But no, they waited till like his last match was a main event match where Rush got to like give him his farewell from the promotion
and
without them
win.
And still without them saying it was his farewell. Like they still didn't say it was farewell. They were still talking like the way they talked. It was like, I'm leaving. You know?
Yeah, see, I could only make that
because even that day was the day that they aired the TV the TV show aired that interview, and still he was still saying he wasn't going. And then I think it was the Tuesday. I think it was this past Tuesday where he announced that he had gone. Actually, it was Wednesday, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
That was this week. It was sometime this week. Oh no, that Monday or Tuesday he posted a picture of his passport. Something like that. And then I think yesterday Thursday he posted the news. The WWE posted the news that he was going to WWE.
Well, I have to say, for all the things that people say about CMLL, I don't know how much of this was Rush and Sombra, how much of this was the inner workings at CMLL, but this was paced beautifully if they knew what was going on, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure even when he didn't know he was going, it sounds like he was trying to get the ball.
It was funny because I saw when the news broke that he went to he had signed with WWE, because they posted that picture and everything. I went on the Observer site, and Brian Alvarez wrote that something Dr. Lucha had said on a podcast, and I wrote, "Oh man, I hope Steve doesn't have to live this off, you know, because you don't want somebody to remind you of that quote." But more or less, what he said was true. If he had stayed in CMLL, it would have looked completely stupid that he had lost so many matches on his way out.
That's true. That's true.
Not on his way out, but still staying in the promotion. You know, on his way out, it makes sense. Whereas if he stayed, but you know, like I said, those guys can Sombra, Rush, those guys could survive losses.
Yeah, because
their gimmick is not caring about losing, just humiliating people. So it's like,
oh, exactly. And I was even kind of thinking when people were talking about his losses and he might be leaving. Part of me was thinking, or he might be getting some sort of title run or something like that, because that's an old school thing. You know, where you get your butt kicked and you have the crown and people are chasing it because you kicked your butt before. Wow,
and it's weird because everybody because of the way that Caristico left AAA, and then Alberto later, which we'll talk about next. They kind of the way they left the promotion completely in the those like scrambling for booking plans that they had to change, lineup changes that they've had to do, and AAA's still dealing with that because there's still more going on with them.
Hell yeah.
Whereas CMLL, Sombra basically left, told them, and they were able to plan out stuff. Yeah, it looked like they were going through stuff really fast, especially with the Rush Sombra stuff.
And I'll be honest,
even the Atlantis mass match.
I thought that they were just scrambling to get a really hot event.
Towards some building to something like.
Yeah, rather than having one of those stupid death matches.
I was just impressed that they were coming up with good big matches. Volador versus Sombra, which we've seen a bunch of times, but it was Day of the Dead. For an pay-per-view. And then Rush versus Sombra, that just came out of nowhere, and their match was really good.
Yes, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
The Atlantis versus Sombra, that is the most fun I had watching.
His last three matches were great. And you throw in the match you said, the Increíbles match.
I love that match.
Four really good matches on his way out, which were really impressive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, just the old man in me. Like the Increíbles match, the Hair versus Mask, it really reminded me of old school regional wrestling.
Well, the thing that I kind of annoyed me right away was as soon as they announced that he signed with WWE, the first you always get the fans who immediately start, oh, he's going to struggle like Sin Cara. And it's like, dude, it's not the first Sin Cara, not the current one.
Yes.
Current one basically he was never going to be a star.
He's got a job.
He's got a job, basically. He's not a guy who's going to be the other Sin Cara when he was Mystico. There's a huge difference between the two guys. God, yeah. First of all, Sombra and the first CML Mystico, when they were superstars in the promotion, Sombra was a superstar, but he wasn't like the main guy. He was just part of the group, the stars in the promotion. Whereas when Mystico was the CMLL star, he was the promotion basically. Yep. He was the main guy. I mean, him and it was really him, Perro, and really him and Perro. And then you had Dr. Wagner Jr. and some of the other guys underneath, but it was him and Perro that were the main guys. And then so you kind of understood that he came in to WWE with a bit of an ego. He had a very diva qualities, even in Mexico. Whereas Sombra, you never heard that stuff about him being a diva. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing when they compare them, don't get me wrong, Mystico, he can have good matches.
Yes.
But it's a style that he's basically, there's certain guys he could work with. Whereas Sombra, I mean, Sombra got a lot more. He got more exposure to a variety of opponents. It wasn't just him versus Averno. It was him versus all the guys in CMLL. But then he also got to work with Nakamura, Tanahashi.
Yes.
All these guys from Japan. He's gotten to work with a lot of different styles, like a little more heavyweight based type of guys.
Absolutely.
Whereas Mystico worked more of a junior heavyweight group of guys.
Junior heavyweight group,
and then you look at WWE in that era too. WWE didn't have the level of talent that they had underneath that they have now for Sombra. I mean,
right.
Sombra is going to if he starts in NXT, he's got Devitt, Prince Devitt, who's his name is escaping me right now.
It's escaping too.
Finn Balor. Finn Balor. And they have Samoa Joe. They have a couple of other guys that are in that era, and not just in NXT, but in WWE. And Sombra can adapt a little better than Mystico could.
And it sounds like Mystico didn't have a lot of drive to. It sounded like, well, like you said, diva attitude. It sounded.
Yeah. He kind of thought he was going to be the star just based off what he did.
Exactly.
Whereas Sombra kind of, he's willing to work for it.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if somebody like
that doesn't mean he's going to succeed.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. And I'm wondering
or fail, you know.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the wrestlers there who are gunning for WWE, if they know what a huge challenge it is for somebody from Mexico to get over. I mean,
well, they need to know.
Maybe he's taking it as a challenge.
Maybe he's learning English too. I mean, he's a lot younger than I think he might be like, because Mystico went in 2008. 2011.
Yeah.
2011.
Is when we're doing Slamistan.
Yeah, we're doing Slamistan when he went. 2011. So he had to be a couple of years older than what Sombra is. Because Sombra's 26 right now. Sombra's 26 right now. He's still at that age where he could still learn like English.
Oh yeah.
I think people. I don't know. It always bugs me when people like say you need to learn English. It's like, don't tell them now. Tell them when they're kids.
Yes.
Because the older you are, you're not going to learn
harder.
it. It's harder to learn.
I mean, you can do it.
You can do it, but it takes a little more dedication and stuff like that to do.
Hell, my dad started learning Italian when he was in his late 60s.
And it's a harder thing.
Harder, but he did it. Yeah. He did it.
But also, your dad's a physicist.
Yep, exactly. I am not a physicist.
And Kurt is not.
I don't think I'll ever know Italian.
Kurt is doing a wrestling podcast.
I'm a Lucha Libre fan since 10 years old, and my Spanish still sucks.
So, yes, but I think if you're a wrestler and you want, like a guy in Mexico wants to learn, if your goal is to be in WWE, it isn't learning at like 20, 25. It's learning when you're 16, 18 years old. When you're still going to school, like learn a second language, learn a third language. You want to learn Japanese because that's another place where you're going to be able to get bookings and stuff.
Yeah, like that. I tell anybody who's a parent, it's easy to say when you're not a parent, but damn, teach your kids languages.
Yeah.
More now than ever.
That's really
more languages in any field.
I think that's the only thing that's really going to like be a issue for Sombra, because I mean, even if you learn English, you might not speak it well enough to like. But I think he has enough charisma. Like without the mask, he really showed a lot more charisma as a heel.
Yeah,
I think he could pull it off. Like, I think they should let him do Spanish promos, do the Ingobernables promos. Let him be Ingobernable.
Cool. That'd be cool. And it amazes me that I know this is like beating a dead horse, but there's guys who could get over who can't speak, and that's what the roles of managers are for, and they just don't use them anymore.
Well, he doesn't even need a manager. He just needs to just show them. There's ways to get guys over without.
Well, for one thing, that mask was.
They have vignettes and stuff like that.
The mask he had was the most nondescript plain mask.
And he still got over.
He got over better than guys using total facial expressions.
Yeah.
That guy with body language alone.
And then once he dropped his mask, how great did he look? He looked a good-looking dude. That he kind of reminded me of Hector Garza a little bit, not facially or anything, but just like from the physique. And
yes.
The other thing, like if you notice Sombra when I think when they did that tryout in 2011, he was a lot thinner, a lot leaner of a guy, and he's gotten a lot thicker over the years.
Yes.
So you kind of see that that's been his plan since 2011.
Well, and also
give CMLL credit also for not like lowering him in the card, because remember Hijo del Fantasma, he was in that tryout and he never got another shot in CMLL. Like they actually just buried that guy, which he would have been great. Now that you see what he's done in AAA and Lucha Underground, you think, man, that guy they should have done more with him.
Well, if all is as it appears, I got to say Sombra is one of the smarter players, because if he went out with this much advanced notification and had so many things planned out, it looks like maybe he knows
he's got a place there, basically.
Exactly.
He could always come back there.
I mean, maybe he's aware of how hard it... Because I'm sure they've had to hear stories about how WWE wants to book like a Latino and they mess it up.
I think
with Sin Cara,
I worry about it. I worry about it because I think they kind of want to make some like they want the next guy to be Rey Mysterio. And the thing is, Rey Mysterio's 5'3", and that's not the guy that they want. They don't want the short, because if you really wanted the next Rey Mysterio, you go after like a Flamita, Mascara Dorada, somebody who's athletic who could get over on moves and stuff like that. And these guys aren't that. These guys are more like they're more like Eddie Guerrero like types.
Yes,
like that's maybe what they want, the next Eddie Guerrero more than the next Rey Mysterio. Because they're not really going after. They don't want, and even Eddie Guerrero wasn't that tall. He was 5'8". He wasn't.
No, he wasn't. Guy. He wasn't. But yeah, he was over. I mean, just thinking of when he, like right before he passed, just the respect Eddie Guerrero had of so many. I mean, one of Steve Austin's favorite wrestlers. Yeah. And what was I gonna say?
Oh no, got to say something. Hurry up.
I'm blanking out. It's been a long week. It's been long several weeks, actually. My mind is
don't
fried.
flake on me right now.
I'm not flaking, don't worry. But my mind is fried, I will say
Let's go to the Alberto, because I think we're kind of done with
Yeah, okay, let me just...
Sombra.
Right before we go to that,
let's
before
go to
my
Alberto.
phone dies...
Oh, you want to do the fan mail?
Yeah, did you hear that? I put my phone close to the microphone and it made all sorts of weird feedback.
You're not supposed to do that.
Oh. Yeah.
I think that's what you messed up the last time, when you remember that.
Oh, yeah. I'm radioactive.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
That's what Meltzer does with
I just want to say, we actually have more fan mail. This is pretty cool. It says, "Hey Kurt, Mark Anthony Bowden from near Raleigh, North Carolina. I enjoy your LuchaWorld podcasts. I especially like when you guys cover Lucha Underground and AAA. I'm not much of a fan of CMLL.
Well, I guess he better not listen to this show then.
We like you anyways, Mark. We do. We like you." No, but he says, "But anyway, why so infrequent podcasts these days?"
Oh, I like this is the one you wanted to read.
well, wait for it. We need.
That's why I gotta tell people, if you're gonna ask stuff about the podcast, ask Kurt, because I'm very I'm not like the nicest.
That's why. That's why I'm reading it, because
yes.
you sent the email to me.
I know.
Send it to me.
And I'm just reminding people to send it to Kurt.
Yeah, actually.
I would not, first of all, I would not read it. I would just delete it.
Yes.
I get very annoyed with the little stuff. So keep on.
For me, it just kind of rolls off.
Yeah.
It just rolls
off. It rolls off. I just delete it.
No. Here's what he says is, but why so infrequent podcasts these days?
Because we have jobs and lives.
Sadly, that is true. I wish I didn't have to have a job. But he says, we need more Lucha podcasts, and you guys really have the best one.
Well, because we're the only one. I like that one.
There are really, very few around. Anyway, I want to say thanks for your podcasts. I enjoy them, but we need Fredo. Oh my God!
Well, there's the Dr. Lucha one. But
this is a glowing. This is the guy thanking us upside down.
Yeah.
And you're just totally getting cranky on him. My God. Okay, but he's...
And like I told you, people end up liking me for some reason. I still don't know why.
They do. Hey, Frito and the Freak through and through. But he says, we need more of them, at least every week or two, especially with Lucha Underground Season 2 starting to film. You guys need to cover it top to bottom, but no spoilers if possible. Okay, guys, coming up, we're going to give every Lucha Underground...
I don't think they realize we live in Los Angeles. We're more likely to get spoilers than
Oh, yeah. But he says, thanks, man.
Actually, I don't do spoilers, though.
He says, thanks, man, Mark, Anthony Bowden, and all kidding aside, thank you very, very much for the nice email. And
nice email telling us to do more podcasts.
Oh, Fredo.
Do you guys realize how hard it is to get Kurt to do a podcast?
Yeah, that's what I want to give. Okay,
I'm just being honest.
I want to do full disclosure right here. Let me say this.
This is the reason I say that when they tell me, it's like, because a lot of people will tell me, how come you're not doing more podcasts? Like, I tell Kurt, I've always told Kurt, let's do it every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Your flex day, we would pick that day. Mm-hmm. Kurt's the one that doesn't have time to do it, and I'm not the type of person that's going to be like, hurry up and do it.
But Fredo, take it out on me, not on people who thank us for our podcast. My God,
other people are going to hear.
Oh Lord!
Hey, I do this on other people's podcasts, so it's like.
Maybe we should give out Fredo's email address so you can all write him and thank him, but do it very sarcastically, sardonically. No, thank you, Mark. A lot.
Thank you. I'm joking. I thank you.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
And the one thing Fredo says that is correct. Send the emails to me. Fredo gets way more emails than he needs to deal with. I get few emails, and I love getting them. So if you write,
like I said, when people start asking me to do the podcast more frequently, it's kind of like I can't really give you an answer because it's not my.
Yeah. So send the emails to me, and I will explain it. And I want to do.
Kurt doesn't want to quit his job. I mean, what do you guys want me to do? Jeez.
I do want to give full disclosure from my own mouth. Yeah, when we go on a long jag without a podcast, it is my doing, my schedule.
It's like the Superboy podcast. I want to do that every other month, and Kurt doesn't want to because he has a job.
Yeah, I know. I'm so selfish like that. yeah, I'm very. Yeah.
Kurt's like got work and a wife. I mean, what's up with that?
And she works harder than I do.
Yeah.
So I like to. I go to my job, earn what I can, then I go home. I try to take care of the house best I can because Elena works a lot harder than I do. She's the breadwinner of the family, and
I always get people asking me, "How come you guys do a podcast on a Friday?" And it's like, well, guys, it's like because CMLL is on a Friday. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you guys know there's only so many days we could do a podcast. We don't really have a schedule and stuff like that.
But I want to say thanks for wanting us to do a podcast.
Oh, no, I mean...
That is awesome.
I would do a podcast weekly if people wanted me to do one. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I don't really know if people want to hear me do a podcast on my own.
I gotta be honest. I hate the thought of doing a podcast on my own.
Because it sounds like...
I picture myself staring at the microphone.
You know what it is? A lot of people think that we do the podcast over, like, on Skype. Like, other people do it, so they think that we're doing it. Like, when we did Slammenstein, we used to do it over the phone.
Over the phone, yeah.
But this is something that you have to come over to my house and we do it. And it's like, it's not... We've actually even tried to do more podcasts where we do on road trips. Mm-hmm. And those usually end up failing miserably because we either, like, end up doing something else or, like, we have guests on that end up, like, doing rants on, like, indie shows and stuff like that. So we kind of can't really, like, reveal that stuff. So what we do is interviews. So let's get to Alberto because I'm kind of...
But another thanks, and Mark also was talking about the mask collection he's starting to amass.
But you didn't bring that up.
Right, Fredo. Jeez.
I thought
Lord.
When you told me you had an email, I was like, oh, it's a question. Like, people are going to ask. Seriously, people, like, they don't ask me.
Fredo,
they want me to do a podcast. They send you an email. The only thing they ask you, why can't you guys do more podcasts? Why not ask questions about, like, hey, what do you think is going on?
Don't you realize the reason they're
whatever
asking?
Happened to Fishman? Whatever happened to the Barrio Boys? Where's Billy Boy?
If they asked whatever happened to Fishman, I would say stop listening to our show. We don't care what happened to Fishman, goddammit.
He just had a
baby?
No, an homenaje. A tribute show for him.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. Like they took a picture of all the guys, and it was pretty cool.
That is cool. Actually, that was moving, even though I've heard stories about him.
I know, but he seemed very... I was like being like... I sometimes will be sarcastic on Twitter about some of the stuff, and people took it all upset. Like we'll talk about this when we get to the lead part. There's another one. I'm serious, people think I get upset. It's because you guys get really annoyed, very I don't know. It's
okay,
weird.
but with this letter, Fredo, here's the point.
No, the letter I don't mind.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand.
The guy. No,
I understand. The guy wanted us to do.
The guy wasn't chiding us. He said he loves our podcast.
No, I know.
Or because what we.
No,
do.
I know.
Yeah.
But I'm explaining. We can't. It's something that. It's two people. It's not as easy to do. Like, if you do it like Carl Stern style, there's a reason Carl Stern can do a podcast every week. Mm-hmm. It's just Carl Stern show with Carl Stern,
and he knows how to.
It's just it's just him.
Yeah, I.
Now, if people want me to do that, I would probably prefer to do that than write. like, don't get me wrong, I like writing, but it's like I would. But then if I do this. How come you're not writing? How come you're not updating your website more? How come you're not doing this? I was like, yeah, I gotta work, sorry.
Y'all gotta work. That's what they. Well, okay, now I will get to Alberto, but I do have to say, I got where I did get livid at some fans are people who tore a new one into Carl for not meeting their expectations on his July podcast. Remember how he had a different biography every day?
Yeah. But it was on weekends he took off, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Because then that would be crazy.
Crazy. And this guy has been undergoing chemotherapy. This guy still has to hold down a job. And they were, I mean, brutally complaining about all the shortcomings. And it wasn't even my own podcast. I was so pissed off. See, I like these emails we get because they just want more of what we have.
Yeah.
But
I was just laughing because when you told me about the email, I was like, oh, this guy has like a question, or he was going to say something, wanted us to talk about something specific. And I was like, do more. I was like, because I get that a lot. Okay. I get that a lot on Twitter. That's all I.
Yeah, the only thing I'll pawn off on you, Fredo, is he said he wants more AAA.
There's another one. Oh, look at that. He read this email. You guys know why we don't talk more AAA, right? Who was the one that said he was going to watch AAA after he heard a podcast with Conan?
You know what, Fredo? You don't even let me finish my thought.
AAA.
Remember when I said I'm going to pawn it off on you?
Did you finish the full season of Lucha Underground?
What did I just start to say, Fredo, before you so politely interrupted me? I said I'm pawning it off on Fredo. I'll let him watch AAA.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to watch AAA.
You're going to watch IWRG then?
Hell no.
You do watch it, though.
I want to.
You watch a couple of matches every once in a while.
You know what frustrates me about IWRG is I go to watch it and I love a
lot of guys in there.
I love the atmosphere. I love the little tiny arena. It reminds me of old school regional TV.
Yeah.
And you'll have some really good workers, but then they have these really long matches. They do a lot of working the crowd, and it's not working the crowd for any reason. It's like the promoter said, you have to go a half hour. And it looks almost like they're doing a real casual workout in the gym. And that's not every match.
No, I know.
So many matches. And some of them are good. Some of the wrestlers are really, really good. It's just it's frustrating because it looks like there's so much potential there. But I have no idea what's going on in the booking committee. Probably one booker telling everybody what to do in that one. But, you know what I'm saying? I love the ambience, but...
So you're going to watch IWRG and I'll watch AAA and we'll start doing more AAA.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
Deal.
We'll cover every promotion. You'll watch the indie matches.
Poor Mark Bowden, when he wrote that letter, he had no idea what a can of worms was.
I think he's kind of made it where you have to actually do stuff now. you actually have to watch. It ended up falling ending up getting you because I watched AAA. I know more or less about like the Mike Bailey and guys like that showing up in AAA and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
don't.
Willie Mack's in AAA right now. I'm actually going to watch some of that stuff
very happy
this
I'm not
weekend.
Gonna watch it.
I know, see, and I will, and it's like you're not going to watch it. And that's why I tell you, but it's like, then you tell me, and it's like, dude, why do you bring that up?
But here's the thing. This guy did not know the whole background.
And we told him.
He's not psychic.
We told him in an angry, aggressive way.
We have a fan, and you yell at the fan.
Dude, I yell at everybody.
Man, you were made for the business.
I yell at everybody. Ask Stan Farron. Ask Dr. Lucha. I yell at everybody. It's like, that's a constant. That's like a constant with me. I like yelling at people.
So remember, if you're going to send emails, email to me, Liger, at lyger@aol.com, and a full hearty thank you to Mark Anthony Bowden.
And be prepared to get yelled at by Fredo.
Yeah, but I will say this, we are probably going to talk more about CMLL than AAA.
Well, you know the other thing why we talk more about CMLL, and it's not just because of watching. See, AAA doesn't really do as much as CMLL does on a regular basis.
I agree.
There's between 5 and 6 shows. I mean, a lot more than that. What is there? There's Puebla, the Friday show, airs online. Then we get a repeat of what Friday aired on Azteca, and I get LATV, which sometimes it airs the Sunday show. We used to get the Tuesday show. So we were getting a lot more stuff. AAA, how often were we getting AAA? AAA doesn't air, first of all, in the U.S. So basically the only person that you could get is from the Cubs fan. One show a month, basically. 2 shows a month, maybe. Which cover the 2 tapings cover a month's worth of shows. Lucha Underground hasn't been on, so it's like, what are we going to talk about Lucha Underground?
Right.
So like now that it's back on.
That's one where I am going to say full-heartedly I've been sorely negligent, because that was awesome TV, and I should have watched everything.
Dude, I watched Shillanga Mass. We talked about it. I mean, we do try to talk about a lot of other stuff. Yeah. But it's hard because AAA, like I said, AAA is not as
It's not as often. And you know better than I do, but when I watch it, the guys are great workers.
It's good. You're probably still thinking like the clusterfuck era.
No, I'm not trying. You mean the Triple Mania?
Yeah, the triple.
That was a bummer. But I.
And that's the other thing. Every single time they've had a pay per view and we watched, it usually doesn't deliver. It hasn't delivered.
That's true.
They've been something bad has happened. Like for some reason.
Well, I felt bad for you the time there was that really cool lucha show, Superboy's.
Yeah. And I didn't go because the Triple Mania show. Now I'm like right there watching 10 minutes of it,
and it crapped out.
Yeah.
No,
Mark Cole's going to listen to this and he's going to be like, no, keep talking about CML. don't talk about AAA. See, this is the other thing. We get some fans who don't like AAA and other fans don't like. And this is the thing. I actually like everything. I watch everything.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to like split my time because I could not talk about CMLL and talk about like IWRG and indie wrestling and I'd be fine with it.
Now my take on AAA, it's skewed because I watch it so rarely.
And by rarely, you mean never.
I watch a little every other month, and I don't know. I haven't
watched a lot.
I don't find the angles compelling. The wrestlers are great physically, but Jack Evans, Angelico, I think so rock.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm watching the same show sometimes. Is that just because?
Because you're probably biased. Yeah. Just kidding. Well, it might be just because it's a similar style.
And it could be apples and oranges too. Yeah. I love the old school feel of CMLL.
People have preferences. It's like it's hard. It's hard. Like as a lucha fan, as me being a longtime lucha fan, and dealing with, and it's not just because this guy wrote that. He's like, it's not just him. Like it's from my tape trading and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I've always dealt with a lot of people where they're like, why don't you do more of this? Why don't you do more of that? And it's like, no, I like a lot of this other stuff too. Like, I actually like New Japan. I like all this other stuff. So it's like, you can't really focus on one thing because not everybody likes that one thing.
Well, and there's so much out there to choose from.
Yeah. So it's like...
You could literally do a podcast on... You could have 3 different podcasts on Lucha alone and have them all cover things. I mean...
People want that. I could do that if people want me to do that. An hour each... I'll do the CML podcast with you for an hour.
There you go.
I'll do a AAA podcast. I'll learn how to do Skype. Call Rob. Call Robbie Hari for those wondering. Call him and have him do the AAA hour. And then do the indie talk with some whoever has the indie knows about indie wants to talk about indie wrestling, which I'm sure would probably be like 10 people who actually enjoy it. I'm sure there'd be more people listening to that, but it's like there's a lot of stuff to talk about. It's just some weeks there's more, some weeks there's not as much. This week there's going to be a lot of AAA. He lucked out. I feel bad now.
And with that, I think it is time to
for the Alberto.
And I know a lot of this is old news at this
point. This one was a surprise. I mean, this one was I thought this was a bigger surprise than Sombra, because Sombra, the way he was booked, you kind of had a hint that there was something going on. Whereas Alberto just like suddenly, like he showed up in WWE.
And you know what? I heard some rumors.
There were rumors. Yeah, there were rumors.
But I just thought it sounded so far-fetched. I didn't buy any of it.
And then it's so weird. They didn't even get him to drop the belt. I thought that was like the shit. Like even worse than Caristico when he left. Mystic. For those.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, for those who maybe I don't even know what his name was when the last podcast
Mystic
we did.
2.0.
Mystic 2.0. For those who haven't heard the last since the last podcast, maybe haven't been following Lucha. Mm-hmm. Mystic 2.0 is now Caristico.
I was going to ask about that. Now, is that like, remember how Gato Everready...
It's basically Sin Cara combined with Mystico.
Yeah, okay, but remember how Gato Everready was like a sponsor for Everready batteries? Yeah. Is he like a sponsor for Crisco oil? I mean, Caristico sounds more like a cooking oil.
Yeah, like...
I mean, Caristico?
Yes.
It's better than Mystic
2.0
or Miss Disease or...
Yeah, Miss Disease was easily the worst one.
How about Mystic Disease?
Mystic Disease.
I like that.
I'm going to come up with it. We should get an indie guy to...
I like that. Mystic Disease.
Mystic Disease.
Incredibly Strange Wrestling's returning, folks.
Mystic Disease. And we'll spell it Ms. M-Y-Z.
Yes.
Tick.
Yes,
T-I-C. And then Diz with a Z, because that's gonna have Z's in there. Disease, like E and then Z and all that. This is gonna be awesome. So when Alberto left, he basically told the AAA 24 hours before he showed up on somewhere between 24 hours, a 24-hour window from him showing up in Hell in a Cell. Which I just think was like the shittiest thing for him to do.
And it sounds like he did it with a charming smile and his fingers crossed.
Yeah, because they're all like, oh, we still think he's a good guy, and we hope to have him come back. And it's so funny.
And they thought he was going to drop the.
You had all these guys saying, oh, he'll come back, like Dorian, Conan, Dave Meltzer still thought that, and I'm like, he's not going back. Chris Zellner and I kept saying he's not going back. WWE isn't going to let him go back. What are you guys crazy?
Look at WWE's history.
They weren't going to let him go back.
This was the promotion that wanted Harley Race to ditch the bell.
I would bet WWE would be more willing to work something out with CMLL than they would with AAA, just because of the people involved in AAA.
Probably.
I think right now, where they would let Alberto finish, they would have let Sombra come back and finish whatever last show he had. And that might have happened because he left so soon. I mean, that might have happened with Sombra for all we know.
I know he said nothing was signed, but
I'm guessing he must have. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing he must have known the week that he left around the time he planned the match with Rush.
Yeah, because I know Conan's dealings with WWE were static. Some, I don't know if bad blood's the right word, but
Conan talks about. Oh, actually, Conan's a lucha kind of podcast, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
I bet you
AAA.
You know what? I bet you there's some lucha podcasts we don't know about. Because there's a podcast for everything.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I was just joking about us being the only one. There's actually Cubs fan does one every. He does it less frequently than we do. So why are people complaining about us?
Because they want.
Yeah, Cubs fan.
That's a. But,
somebody actually suggested we all just do one podcast together. I was like, these guys.
It'd be 6 hours.
Yeah, these guys. Chris is in the East Coast. Chris is in the East Coast. Cubs is in the Midwest. Rob is in Canada. Dr. Lucha's who knows in Vegas or in San Diego.
What would happen if I got in on it?
You just talk over everybody.
I talk over everybody, and I'd do it in slam and stand style, where I did my old stoner self,
and we'd all be like, just wondering what's going on with you. Guys would be asking me, is Kurt okay? And I'd be like, yeah, he's fine.
I take that as a compliment, actually. Well, it's just with slam and stand, everybody wanted to go into what happened at Raw.
Yeah, and it's like we just said we didn't watch it because I wasn't watching it that much back then.
I didn't watch it, and also
I do.
One of the things is
not as much.
Is we wanted to stray from that because every podcast talked about what happened on Raw, and it's just like no, let's talk about anything else. So I'd bring up movies like Swamp Girl and Furlan Husky.
I watch Puebla now, so I don't watch that. So with Alberto, I mean that just seemed he didn't drop the belt. So then now all of a sudden they got into the situation where they don't have a champion. When they finally revealed what happened, like when Dorian finally said that he wasn't coming back, they decided to vacate the title. They were going to have a tournament. Guerra de Titanes ends up happening. They're just going to have Rey Mysterio versus Johnny Mundo. But now here's the other problem. Rey Mysterio started talking about maybe, like, it's not that he said he wants to go.
Yes.
He just keeps saying that he would be open to going back if he gets a lighter schedule. So it's like, if that's all it is, WWE can get him.
And if this was 6 months ago when Rey Mysterio said that, I wouldn't have thought about it. But after all these jumps, it's making me thinking, oh, did he already sign his John Doe on the signature?
Yeah, so it's like, it's just one of the... It's weird because when Alberto left, people were like, oh, maybe it's like... Because Caristico had left, and it's like, oh, maybe they're all leaving. And I was like, they could survive Alberto and Caristico leaving, because it's like, they still have Rey, and they have a lot of... I mean, AAA, when Peña went, that 1998-99 period, when he had Cibernetico feuding with Tiger, what's his face?
Singh.
No, not Tiger Jeet Singh. Oh my God, the dude from Texas. I can't, or some part in the Southwest. Some tall white guy. Yeah, I can't remember.
Tall white guy.
Yeah,
white guy.
He just threw tortillas and stuff. I think it was Tiger Steel. It might have been Tiger Steel.
Just the cheap heat thing where
just cheap heat. Couldn't even cut a promo. His one promo was saying shit. That was like one of his only promos, and I guess that was the reason they did his one promo, because he said shit.
Yeah.
And it was like, I guess they thought, hey, they probably figured, hey, that's a bad word. We know that's a bad
word.
Yeah.
You can throw tortillas and say
but you can't say shit. So they headlined with Cibernetico. They had Electroshock headline at one point. La Parca has headlined for them. So they've headlined with really low, like weaker talent. And now they actually have talent that can actually deliver matches. All they need is to build them up. Mm-hmm. So I thought...
Well, that's the thing.
They don't. That's the other problem.
There isn't going to be another Rey Mysterio, because they're just grabbing old Rey Mysterios.
And then they don't elevate the next guy. They're not elevated. They had Alberto. They didn't elevate anybody. Plus, Alberto wasn't going to be that easy to... He's kind of got that diva attitude also.
Well, and this is what...
Rey. They got Rey. They got to figure out a way to get Rey to put over Pentagon Jr. as a heel.
Before he leaves.
Yes. Let him do that. And Rey would do it. That's the other thing. Rey would do it. He would do it, and he would do it like a pro, like a champ, make him into like a legitimate badass, and they haven't done that. Because the philosophy in lucha and wrestling basically is that guys have to pay their dues to the point where to reach that next level. Like the 3 years to become a star and stuff like that.
Pay the dues,
but that doesn't work. It's like some guys just have it. You go with it. If it ends right away, well, you find the next guy. You make money. You got to make money with the guy.
The thing with Del Rio is, it seems to me like in ring work.
He fit in AAA. He fit in lucha, but he started doing the foot stomp that Dragon Lee does.
Yes,
the corner foot stomp, the Tree of Woe foot stomp, mm-hmm. And it looked fine in like Lucha Underground and AAA, because he's got guys who are like a little more who can do that.
Yes.
But then when he does it in WWE, he's so much bigger than it looks awkward. Like I think he did it against. I saw the one he did with Kalisto, and it just looked like he practically killed the guy.
Wow!
but I think kind of might have been.
Well, then they should sell it like the guy was killed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean kill it like he looked
like it looked like you really stiff,
like really bad. Like it just looked bad. Yeah.
Oh, not good. Yeah. Well, but it seems like in ring he's more like his Papa Dos Caras, but it sounds like his
attitude-wise he seems more like Mil
Máscaras, his Uncle Mil.
You know when I knew he was going to WWE, when he started complaining about indie, like the not being able to get first class.
Yes.
So I was like,
that's when I thought Mil Máscaras.
Yeah, and that's when Chris Donner started saying he's going back to WWE. And I was like, I think he might be.
The only positive thing I'll say about that, and I do think his dealings are shitty.
He didn't even thank AAA. You see Sombra? Sombra thanked CMLL. He thanked Paco Alonso, and he made sure to thank every single guy in the promotion. Mm-hmm. Like whoever tweeted him, he's like, thank you.
I gotta say, Sombra is way up there on my pedestal as far as people handling things professionally. I wish there were more people like that in the biz.
Yeah.
But with Del Rio, the only positive thing I'll say is, I think sometimes he's just pulling shit, but at other times, it sounds like he's...
I think he's a smooth talker.
Definitely. Very smooth talker. And I heard Uncle Mil can be very charming. But it does sound like he's kind of calling promoters out on their shit sometimes when they try to...
Well, the one from Germany was it was his... Not him, but the third party involved.
Okay,
I think kind of screwed it up, and I think he kind of... The promotion over there kind of got pissed at Alberto, because Alberto finger point at them when it was actually the guy they were dealing with.
Gotcha.
That was his fault more than that.
Well, because I remember Ernie Ladd got a lot of heat, and then Ernie Ladd was kind of like Del Rio, and he could be kind of a jerk, but at the same time, he also sometimes was standing up for promoters, saying, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of this, that, and the other thing." And then when you arrive at the arena, "Oh, we weren't able to come through on this part," but
Yeah.
But that's not saying that I give him a thumbs up on the way he left AAA. That wasn't cool. But but you're right. I think his charm's gonna take him far.
He's gonna survive.
It's already taken him
Yeah,
far.
he's got a lot more money from WWE. So
Exactly.
Yeah, so then that happened, and I mean, I thought, like I was saying about AAA, I thought, they'll survive. And then the other one that came out, what was it? 2 weeks ago, Cibernetico decided to leave.
The only reason that shocked me is
Because you don't really see him as a landing spot in CMLL. Yeah,
exactly.
That's the one I thought was, and it's not CMLL. He's not in CMLL. He doesn't have a contract with CMLL. He has a contract with the Elite people, the Lucha Libre Elite promotion that's running CMLL. What's happening with Lucha Libre Elite and CMLL? They're still saying they're separate because Lucha Libre Elite has a money mark behind them.
right.
The guy running it is Carlo Colina, who's an announcer. Mm-hmm. He's done IWRG announcing. He's done TV. He's done a lot of wrestling announcing. They kind of still keep it separate, but lately, like even when they were still running early on, it was always Elite, separate. Mm-hmm. They never really mentioned, and CMLL wouldn't put their name on it. Well, now if you notice it, it says CMLL and Elite represent Domingos Elite, Sundays, Elite Sundays.
Well, one, just the fact that they were running on CML's territory, so...
Yeah, they're buildings, too, so it's like they're getting money. So I think Conan said he thought Paco had some involvement. I think there is.
The first thing I thought was...
So the thing with Cibernetico, what happened was we were watching the Puebla show, and right after the Puebla... I think it was after the Puebla show, Cubs fan noticed that CML had posted the lineup for the Elite show on that following Sunday, and it happened to have Cibernetico, Chessman, and a surprise luchador. Mm-hmm. Cibernetico and Chessman, you really don't think... I would never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought they would be on the CML.com website. Like So then we saw that and we're like, holy shit, they were going to bring them in. They changed, they covered that up, changed it, then they added Hefesto and Mephisto and had a luchador sorpresa, so everybody assumed it was Cibernetico. Mm-hmm. So then the rumors came out that Averno was going to be the third guy leaving. So then everybody just assumed maybe it's Averno reuniting with Mephisto and Hefesto. So they asked Mephisto and Hefesto after a match. Mm-hmm. Actually, Hefesto was the one. They asked them if they thought what they had heard about Elite, and they said, "We've just heard what you guys know." And they're like, "What are your thoughts of Cibernetico?" "Oh, he's a good wrestler. We'll team with him, whatever." And it's like Averno is like, "Hey, that'd be a great reunion." So they kept quiet until finally they revealed the following lineup was. Actually, no, they didn't reveal they just kept the luchador sorpresa. Day of the show, everybody's expecting Cibernetico. It ends up being Black Warrior in the match. Black Warrior was a surprise luchador. Now, for those who don't know, Black Warrior is one of the guys at Caristico, one of his preferred opponents. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's Black Warrior and Averno are like his top two preferred opponents that aren't in CMLL.
So, hence the rumors about Averno.
Yeah, leaving. Averno. So
okay, I didn't realize.
So then Cibernetico. So the match happens. Okay, match. The really good match. It's a handheld. The really good match. There's a good match. Undercard, a technicals match. That's Angel de Oro teaming. He has his group. Mm-hmm. It's Angel de Oro, Argos, and Golden Magic. Golden Magic is a pretty good indie worker. Mm-hmm. Should be in.
I've actually seen him. Yeah, I like him.
IWRG, I think you might have seen him on there. Mm-hmm. And he's the guy who's currently getting a lot of heat because he won a mask by some mistake that happened off a cage. The other guy,
what?
They had a cage match, and the last two guys, they were supposed to like struggle off the cage. Mm-hmm. The guy who lost was supposed to lose, I think. Yeah. But the problem was the guy slipped instead of something happened where he
lost his footing and hit the guy. Oh my god!
And it looked so like people were so pissed at the end of it that they started calling Golden Magic Golden Fraude.
Poor guy. It wasn't his fault.
I think there's something more. I haven't watched it since it happened, so I would have to watch it again just to remember the whole thing. But it was like he came off where it like everybody was blaming him. So but he's really good. They faced Rey Cometa. God, I'm blanking on it. Oh, Titan. And I can't remember.
Turning into me.
Yeah, I can't remember. Well, it's not that. It's just like this guy said, if we did it weekly, I would remember. Because I would actually that would be one of the news features.
And again, I'm going to say it one more time, it's my fault.
Yeah, so...
it is my fault.
So, they had a really good match. So basically, go back to the main event. The main event was alright. It ends... Caristico and the guy... And Caristico is teaming up with Negro Casas and Valiente. They're celebrating, and as they celebrate, who comes through the crowd? Cibernetico, and he attacks Caristico, and then he cuts a promo on them, and like all the people are booing him, and then he does the Cibernetico, and all the fans are do the phrase, do his name, yell out his name also.
No way.
The same way. So even though they're booing him, they're still like doing the whole thing. So now he's in Elite. He's basically there to feud with Caristico, but he's already said he's going to feud with like some of the other CMLL guys. Like he's already called out Rush, Terrible, Mac. He kind of wants to be his goal is to at some point be the CMLL World Heavyweight Champion because he wants to be the first guy to win. I don't know if he's the first guy, but that's just off the top of my head, to be the AAA, UWA, and CMLL World Champion. He said that's kind of like his goal because they were asking about mask and hair, and he's like he wants to make that storyline. He's really a smart guy. Like of all the guys in wrestling, he doesn't look like if you look at him wrestle, you would think he has no interest in wrestling because I mean he can't really work. But he really like when he talks about wrestling, he really like talks about the history. Like he like really talks about stuff. I remember he did this Tercera Caída interview. Where it was when Charlie Manson, remember when he was in CMLL briefly?
Yes.
And he was on the show, and they were asking Charlie Manson had just jumped back to AAA, and he had just spent a month in CMLL, and they were asking him, and I think he spent like 6 weeks in CMLL, and they were asking Charlie Manson about his thoughts in CMLL. He's like, I thought it was okay. I really didn't do that much. And Cibernetico just looks at him and is like, what do you mean you didn't do too much? You got to work in Arena, Mexico. You got to team up with this guy. And you even beat Negro Casas in a hair match. He's like, you did way more than you're giving yourself credit. And I was like, holy shit,
this guy. That's cool.
Yeah, so I was like
cool.
I was really impressed. So he comes in, what he basically was asked, he was asked if he thought more guys were going to leave AAA. He's like, and he kind of insinuated that there's an ego. I don't know if he was saying it was an ego that each wrestler has. Or if he meant
a specific
ego,
power,
somebody that has an ego that can't really like see what's going on. Because he said there's a lot of guys who aren't happy. So he kind of hinted that there's going to be more guys leaving. And Averno's already on posters. He was on a poster for December 8th where he's teaming up with Cibernetico versus Caristico and Rey Horus.
Wow.
And so and that's after Guerra de Titanes. This also going to lead to the Guerra de Titanes mess right now. So then they asked Terrible on Informa this past Wednesday about Cibernetico, calling him out. Yeah. And Terrible is one of those guys who doesn't mind speaking his opinion, and he's like, and he has the evil laugh down pat. He laughs, and he's like, who cares what that guy thinks? He's like, let's see what he could. He's like, here we wrestle. He's like, let's see what he could do. And I'm this is fine when they say here we wrestle, but when you have a promotion that has Thunder, Pierrot, Canelo Casas, you're kind of and some of the women in the promotion, it's like you're kind of diminishing that whole thing about being able to be a wrestler.
But I wonder.
But it's great for storyline.
Yeah, well, I was going to say because isn't that
because that's the rep Cibernetico has,
and that's also the rep AAA versus
yes that in AAA they don't really wrestle.
Yeah, one's traditional, one's like the light show.
Yeah, trying to be like a carnival.
Yes,
to them it's a carnival. So he's like and then he said this was a great one. He said I don't know how that guy can call himself a wrestler when he can't even wrestle. And he starts laughing. And that was like, and I'm thinking, man, I don't care like if he can't wrestle, but Cibernetico facing off with Rush is going to be money.
Oh God, yeah.
Like even if they just build it up, like they let it build up, like just him attacking from behind, just running in on him. Either one of them running in on each other, and like building it up, not really having matches, maybe just trios matches where they barely see each other, like what they did in that Relevos Increíbles match.
In fact,
use that formula.
In fact, that's something I'd like to mention, because I know there's a lot of people who watch that.
Because I think Rush right now versus anybody is going to draw a pretty entertaining.
Rush could slap a headlock on somebody and do nothing but the headlock and make it work.
Yeah,
that guy just oozes charisma.
But he won't do
he's
that.
He's a great worker, but he could get away with.
And I think
almost nothing.
I think Cibernetico. No, what Rush does, where he's just very like chops them, punches them, headbutts them. That's something that can work with Cibernetico.
Yes, exactly.
Cibernetico is not a guy who's going to be able to do dives and shit like that.
And here's the thing, because I went from being a kid who loved good guys versus bad guys to a young adult who, when I started seeing people like Dynamite Kid and Tiger Mask, I wanted to see athleticism, badass. And then as the years went by and I see all these guys like old and bitter and barely able to walk, and a lot of these guys,
I always had like a varied like what
I'm kind of a hybrid right now.
But when I was a kid, I was like, I like Missing Link for some reason. He was horrible.
Well, same here when I was a kid.
I thought Kamala was kind of weird, but I always liked it wasn't like, oh, here comes Kamala, because I wasn't smart. When you're a kid, you're not really smart to the business.
And that's what's fun.
Because you're looking at, so holy shit, like Abdullah the Butcher used to scare the shit out of me, like, because I thought, man,
Ernie Ladd scared me. Ernie Ladd, because here was this guy who was 6'9", taking guys who were 5'10" and jabbing them in the throat with his taped thumb.
Yeah.
And they spit up blood. That was scary. And see, that's what I think some people lose sight of, is it's not just the athleticism, it is
the theater, the entertainment.
Yeah, and I think some people, I've said this 100 times before, people lose their sense of fun. They want 5-star matches. They want the point I make about the Increíbles match is, I bet you there's a lot of fans would say, oh, that was like 3 stars, they didn't really do this, that, and the other thing. They told a story better than a lot of guys could. And
well, with
what I mean?
With Cibernetico, the other thing is that, like, when you talk about like guys who can't wrestle, I mean, there's a difference between Thunder, Pure Oath, and Cibernetico. Cibernetico can talk, and he can actually deliver like facially. He can actually people will get in on him. He knows how to draw heat. Whereas these other guys, Thunder, what does he do? He just walks around and like does one power move.
He's clueless.
And he's clueless in the ring. I mean, he's horrible. And Kurt, you haven't apologized for last podcast. Your comments on Thunder. I'd like you to apologize now.
I thought I already did.
You should do it again. Okay.
Okay, folks, see what I have to put up with all the time. Frito. We got to come up with a name of Frito.
The thing with Cibernetico.
Okay, I do want to say,
he has a cool look to him too. Like
you were more than right, and I have to say.
And it was funny because I think that Monday he did Puebla, wasn't it? Where he he did a spot where he just fell down or something. And I was like, oh,
okay,
shit.
I saw him. Was it last Friday? The Friday before? I was tweeting about it.
Yeah.
And
he had a match that day, right, or something.
It was a 6-man, and he was even there. And I do want to repeat,
because that's when you finally told me, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. The only thing that he could do that he couldn't do when he started is, I've seen him do a plancha, and I don't think the guy died when he did the plancha on somebody.
He did the plancha when he first started.
Did he really?
Yeah, because I remember Alexis when he told me he was athletic. He told me he could do that.
And I was going to say, the few times I wouldn't say he looked good, but it looked like something worked, was when he's with Ultimo Guerrero, and this is Ultimo Guerrero's project.
Yeah.
I didn't.
But the weird thing is now Ultimo Guerrero I think he had that injury, and he kind of looks a little slower right now. Have you noticed? He kind of looks a little more.
Honestly, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but
he kind of looks like.
Do you think that's via?
No, I think it's just because he's coming back from an injury, so it's probably
I mean, I get, maybe he likes a challenge, because it sounds like.
And he's the one that has to work with Thunder too, so it's like there's not much you can do. I mean.
But what little he's done,
he's the one that's stupid at continuing to do it. He could always say, you know what, this guy's not that good,
Okay, here's when I freaking lost, and I don't lose it when a wrestler's bad. My thing is, no matter how bad he is, if he's getting over and he's not hurting the other wrestlers, it doesn't bug me. It's like, I only saw him wrestle once, but Boogaloo Tom Shaft, who was a guy who worked mostly Mississippi.
Is it like in Central States?
Central States.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I think I remember. I've seen it.
Sometimes with Ernie Ladd, Tom Jones. I saw him once for Anton Luna's promotion in '82. His punches were horrible. The ironic part was he was a legit contender, a pro boxing contender, and could have put somebody's lights out. But he didn't stiff people, but his punches looked so horrible. But man, he was so over. The fans loved him.
Uh-huh.
And on top of that, he was... we gave him a ride to LA, and he was like one of the nicest people you would ever meet.
Really?
So he didn't hurt his opponents. His wrestling was terrible, but the people just dug him. So if you can draw and you suck, as long as you're not hurting somebody, just but Thunder, am I wrong? He's not over, right?
No.
Nobody cares. Okay, when I lost it.
Plus, he kind of acts sometimes like even like in. I don't know him personally, so I don't know what he's like.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes he kind of like says the wrong stuff. Sometimes, so it's like you kind of. It's hard to get a sense from him.
Where I lost it...
It's the language barrier, too, because
exactly.
I mean, these guys are asking him in Spanish. You don't really get a feel from a guy who's just... The only Spanish he knows is culeros and stuff like that.
It's going to be awful.
Chinga tu madre.
No matter what he does, it's going to be awful.
Because, I mean, how is it possible LA Park gets removed from their shows, and Thunder, that's basically the only word he says on every single one of their CMLL formats.
Amazing.
Which, I mean...
Amazing. Well, here's where I lost it.
Like I said, wrong person heard it.
I just lost it when... Okay, all three opponents, I can't remember who besides Ultimo Guerrero it was, but they all take him outside the ring, and they're going to go, like, ram him into the post, and he's walking like an old man going for a walk, rather than running into the post.
And that's the thing when they tell me, when they told me he told me he was fat, athletic, big and athletic.
He's big.
And he is athletic for a big guy, like doing a dive and stuff like that. That's athletic.
Yeah.
But he doesn't move like an athlete because he's like... I like how this show always ends up being... I'm surprised nobody's brought up how this show always ends up being like a 10-minute segment on Thunder. Have you noticed that? Every single week... I think we've had a segment where we're just complaining about Thunder. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's serious. No, next email we get, stop talking about Thunder.
No, the one part where I want to... wholly apologize to you is forgetting that you're the one who wrote that great Rudy Reyna article.
Oh, you already did that like a long time ago.
But I owe you another apology for that one, because that was such a fucking awesome article, and to think it was Meltzer instead of you, remembering it. Like, once I read it over, I'm like, holy shit, how could I have forgotten? But
that's okay.
That's something I think you should repost, because that was...
It's already on the website, so...
You should post it again.
It's already posted.
So when they go to Lucha World, it's the first thing they see. Because that was a good article, seriously. But back to Thunder. We'll do 20 minutes on Thunder.
Let's do 20 more minutes on Thunder.
From Rudy Reyna, one of the best exoticos in history, to the worst wrestler on the planet.
So back to Cibernetico. Let's go back to Cibernetico. Everybody's already like talking about... Like, I mean, people are actually... I've had people say that they're kind of interested in seeing Rush versus Cibernetico. I agree.
I'm way up for it.
I agree, but I mean, I'm just like really worried because Cibernetico, he left on bad terms. He actually said the other part of the whole thing, AAA then posted that they actually have a legal contract. They have a contract with him.
Cibernetico?
I think Conan was the one that might have said that they have and that they were going to sue him. And so Cibernetico was asking, he's like, well, they did tell me this. He's like, they did tell me this, but he said, I asked them, where's the contract, to show me the contract. He's like, they haven't shown it to me. I appeared, they told me I had a contract, so that means I had to go to these shows to finish my obligation with them. How come they pulled me off these shows if I'd had a contract?
And isn't it a similar tone? I mean, it was a little more repressed, but with Mystico was...
With Caristico, there wasn't, because Caristico said there was no contract. And there was no contract. Yeah. That's what's so hilarious.
Wait, here's the weird thing. This is AAA. You'd think they would think of that.
Well, you know...
This isn't an old school regional.
Well, you know, it's like when you hear TNA, like, even TNA, like, they'll have, like, somebody sign for... Like, New Japan. New Japan has a 1-year contract.
Yes.
It ends, like, in January, I think, is when they, like, renew certain contracts. I'm sure there's guys who have longer contracts or have something, but even if you have a contract, you have maybe like a 90 days where you sign something where you stay another 90 days or 60 days or whatever. And it's like these guys You mean to tell me? Because even Alberto said he didn't. They mentioned that Alberto wasn't under contract when he left.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say as swiftly as he left.
Yeah, I mean, all he took. I'm guessing he must have had the belt where they never mentioned the belt again for a while. Maybe Conan showed up at Raw to pick up the belt or something.
Sounds like nobody inherited Antonio Pena's savvy.
Well, Pena lost a lot of people too.
No, that's true.
And he got sued. He had guys.
You know, it's funny because
that wasn't.
Back in the regional days.
That's an old school lucha thing, old school wrestling type of thing. The problem is that these guys. It's so funny because Lucha Underground. When you hear from Lucha Underground, they're talking about contracts. Mm-hmm. Making sure that everything is legally correct, right? And then you have AAA who's like getting caught in this stuff where it's like, you don't even know. Because they're still dealing, Cranio was saying they're still dealing with the legal issue over their names.
Wow.
With the Alabrije, Cuije, Psychosis, Hysteria. I think it's just those guys. Their names are still in legal, in limbo right now.
Well.
So it's like Cibernetico. I don't see them stopping him from being on Elite shows.
Yeah.
He's going to be on this.
It's funny.
This
I even remember I knew a few guys who worked shops for Paul Bosch, and I don't know if this was for all the shows, but on all the shows in Houston at the Sam Houston Coliseum Arena. I can't remember. But they'd have to sign a contract for each night they wrestled.
Oh, wow.
Like it wasn't like I'm here for a week, a month, or something.
Yeah,
like
just for that show.
But there was stuff in writing, and Michinoku Pro, all I was doing was booking guys, and I had to sign contracts.
For how long?
Per tour.
Per tour?
Yeah, per tour. So just that. Not like I was going to do anything like this, but like I wasn't going to pull anybody or sway anybody or or represent them. Say I represent.
But see, if Alberto didn't have a contract, they should have just been smarter with it. Hey, he's contracts out. Let's maybe ask him if he's thinking of going. Because the rumor came out, and when the rumor came out, Dorian like said it's not true. Like he even put down Super Lucha's negative in a way where he probably I'm sure he probably deleted the tweet already, knowing. But it's
I'm trying to remember
because it's like
what was the one? Didn't he was
the Judas about Caristica, and he didn't take belt with him. No, he didn't do anything. He didn't. I mean, they didn't. They did alter some booking, but it's like it wasn't completely like Alberto. Where it's like, oh shit, now we got to find a new champion.
That's the part that baffles me. And
Cibernetico leaving kind of all fucked them up too, because the weird thing about Cibernetico, he was main eventing like a bunch of like AAA, not just the AAA shows, but the some of the house shows that they book their talent for.
Right.
He was like in the main event, and I was like, why is he leaving Elite when he's like a main event guy for these shows? But I'm guessing the money, money, and the fact that he got a bigger program.
And it's funny, the CML and Elite connection sounds like a more transparent version of how WWF was funding ECW to some extent.
Yeah, it kind of does. But I don't think. I think the only difference with CML is probably not funding it.
Probably not funding it, but
I think they have the money. Yeah, they're benefiting from it. There has to be. Well, they're giving them talent to use, so maybe they're paying the talent for their talent.
What baffles me about AAA not having these solid set in stone contracts is, okay, they started the promotion by robbing another promotion of their wrestling.
But did you notice everybody called them on the Caristica one? We're like, why are you guys getting upset? That's what you guys did. Because Conan was like, yeah, they stole our. It's like, yeah, but you guys, that's how AAA was formed. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, okay, let's stay quiet. Because Cibernetico left. Yeah, they're saying, oh, see, well, Conan has said it. Whereas the other guys, Dorian and all them, they haven't really gone out of their way to say it. They've had their people say it, like their webmasters and stuff like that.
Right.
Their digital people say it, but it hasn't really been as obvious.
Kind of appears more anonymous that way.
Like we're doing it the right way. Where like, guys, you guys take that talent too, so it's like
exactly. And I would think
it's business.
And this is what I think. If I was a promoter and I stole a bunch of talent from somebody, I don't know if steal is the right word, but in a convinced, did it in a way that really put a stain on the other promotion, and then the other promotion did it to me, I did it to them. At some point, when you say, okay, whenever I get a valuable name, we want it in writing, not a handshake.
Yeah,
a handshake in pro wrestling.
There's only a handful of people who you could actually trust with a handshake. And
like Giant Bobo's had a rep of
Like, there's certain guys that, like, they give you a handshake, they're going to do whatever possible.
Exactly.
Like, I think Sombra would be the kind of guy who would do that. So that's kind of led to the Guerra de Titanes show, which, I mentioned the Johnny Mundo versus Rey Mysterio Jr. being the for the mega title. They've already released, not necessarily AAA, but the promoter of that area in Tampico, it's going to be in Tampico, has released 3 posters already. At one point, one of them had Dr. Wagner Jr. and Alberto. Then at one point, this guy mentioned that they were hoping to get either Dr. Wagner. They were hoping to get, at the show, I don't know if they were going to get all 3, or if this guy's thinking was they were going to get one of these guys, all of them, that they were going to get either Alberto, Dr. Wagner Jr., or I don't know how they were going to get this guy, John Cena.
Wow.
I have no idea why this guy thought they were going to get John Cena. I have no idea, but this promoter, like, I'm like, dude.
Actually, wait, I'm not surprised. Remember when the whole...
the Monterey fakes?
This is even better. And this isn't like an isolated type of incident. Remember when the whole steroid scandal, Vincent Hogan, the Arsenio Hall show?
Yeah. Was that some local promoter?
Local promoter, was, met all the students at Billy Anderson's school. This is when Billy and Jesse Hernandez were running together. And I actually had quite an admiration for Billy because I saw what a straight face he kept. But there were 2 guys. One guy looked like some sort of bodybuilder type. I actually don't think he wanted to be a wrestler, even though he looked like the type bodybuilder who would. But his dad was, I guess, putting up the money, if there was any money. But the dad said, okay, we're starting this new promotion, and, I don't know if you guys are in touch with what's happening, but the wrestling corporation world is imploding. Like, things are falling apart, and he's talking about the steroid scandal, and so the first thing he does, he pulls out these contracts, which are, like, mimeograph typed, it's like, no notarized signature, obviously. But this is the morality clause. If you're caught doing something terrible, you're not a part of our promotion anymore. And he was saying, as you see, in his eyes, everybody turned on Hulk Hogan. He says, so we're going to be reaching out to him, and we think that we'll get some appearances from Hulk. And I could see Billy just nodding and keeping this straight face. Yeah. And then when he handed us all the contracts for the morality clause, I handed it back to him, and Billy just kind of... I see Billy trying not to laugh, saying, not interested, Kurt.
Because of morality, but this is the wrestling business. Exactly. I didn't get into the wrestling business for morals.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you're caught not drinking or passing up a spliff, then you're fired,
This is but I want to be like Mr. Niebla. Come on.
But seriously, that's the most blatant example I come up with. But I met scores of people who legitimately think that McMahon is the only game in town, and
they think they can actually be the number 2 promotion.
Yeah, you'd be amazed.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've probably heard it. Seen examples.
There's been a few indie guys we've talked to over the years that have, like, not necessarily WWE, but that they think they could be like the next XPW or like the ECW of the West Coast or something.
And I just hear the stuff.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay,
going off.
I mean, we've gone to Lucha Underground. We've actually talked to the people involved in Lucha Underground. They've talked about it. They constantly bring it up how difficult it is for them.
Yes.
It's like, it's not even a secret. They themselves will tell you that it's not as easy as.
And they even said they couldn't compete with WWE if they wanted to.
It's like they can't. They even tell you about how it's not as easy. Like, even with like TNA and all these groups, it's not an easy thing. Yeah. It's like, and there's always that one person that always thinks it's an easy thing.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think history started with Vince McMahon, that he just said, oh, well, let's get TV and some wrestlers, and even if Lucha Underground ends after this next season, I give it to them.
They might last 3 seasons, though. I think that'd
be great. Yeah. I hope they stick around.
Yeah.
I mean, But even if they didn't, I'd give it to him for having this awareness that most promoters don't.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So this show, one of the things that's kind of been kind of just been a weird thing lately. Mm-hmm. They had a AAA tag match announced, and it's Angelico and Jack Evans defending their belts versus Joe Leader and Pentagon Jr. But they added Averno and Chessman, and Jack Evans on Twitter wrote, "Oh great, here you guys go, having to put those people in instead of just going with your, because Conan originally wanted Speedball Mike Bailey and Willie Mack as the third tag team."
Yeah.
Because, it wasn't going to be a regular tag team match.
Right.
It has to be a 3-way or a 4-way or something. It's AAA.
Otherwise, fans won't watch it.
Yeah, yeah. So they added Averno Chessman. And, don't get me wrong, Averno Chessman, I'd rather have them in a match than just have Joe Leader in the match. Because, Joe Leader's pretty bad. But, I mean, Pentagon Jr.
But if it's Pentagon Jr. and Averno, how about
Averno,
that?
and then Chessman. Chessman's a really good also.
Yep.
So, but the problem is Averno and Chessman are a lot of rumors. And the rumors aren't just like rumors. I think it's kind of been brought up in the locker room where guys are actually kind of getting wind that they're maybe leaving.
Well, like I said, a while ago, I would have just thought rumors, but whenever I hear a rumor, I'm saying, wow, this might just be true.
I can't remember a year. It's been a while where the end of the year ends so like strong with so many things happening. Like,
yes.
Caristico, La Sombra, Alberto, Cibernetico, all switching promotions.
Yeah, it's not just one guy or 5 guys leaving one promotion.
And it's not usually, you might get like a couple of guys, like even like I think the year that Tejano left and Hector Garza left like a week after. I think Hector Garza might have left. I don't remember. It was somewhere around the same time that they left. Hector Garza left first, then Tejano Jr. left. Because I remember we were even trying to guess maybe they'd give the belt to Tejano Jr. And he left. But when it was those two guys, you didn't really have anybody leave AAA. I just don't remember anybody leaving AAA.
Yeah.
Or like it was mostly just two guys going there, and then like when Hijo Fantasma left, it wasn't as much.
This funky mix of people leaving on bad terms and one guy leaving on
good terms,
really good terms.
Which might be the one guy who probably won't have to worry about a job for a while.
And
because everybody else, I think.
And
although Alberto, I doubt will have to worry about a job for a while.
Well, because he's like you said he's smooth.
Yeah, so he'll always.
I mean, I give it to.
He'll be able to get AAA.
Yeah, that's why I give it to him.
And you know what?
He knows what he's doing.
Not only will he be able to get AAA, I'm pretty sure if this elite group, if somehow CMLL sees this succeed, I wouldn't be surprised if they would even go after Alberto the next time.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Whereas in the past, they probably would have just been like, nah, let him go to AAA.
Yeah.
CMLL not really caring. Maybe they would actually see some value in that now.
It's an interesting year.
It's so weird because I think people, when AAA was getting all the talent from CMLL, everybody's like, why isn't CMLL doing anything? And now CMLL does something. It's like, and not necessarily them, but by proxy or whatever you call that, them getting talent. It's like people are all, oh, I can't believe they're doing it, but it's like that's how the business is.
One thing that I always dug about CMLL.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, did you read the story where they mentioned that these guys contacted Pentagon Jr., Sexy Star? They contacted a variety of people, and I was like, they're kind of like trying to get the people that they really can't get because those guys are in Lucha Underground.
Right.
I kind of think the problem in AAA right now is that there's the Lucha Underground, the AAA talent that's getting the Lucha Underground job. They're getting booked international, in other parts. And then you got the Mexican crew that's kind of saying like, hey, we're not getting to
We're
go.
on the sidelines.
Yeah, we're not getting booked as much, or we're staying in Mexico. Why aren't we getting the dollars,
Yeah.
And I think I can
understand that.
That's kind of part of the issue where they're thinking, hey, we're not getting that. Where's our share? And Elite is willing to throw money at these guys. It's like, yeah, they're going to have to jump. They have to decide.
I got to tell you, I don't know all the details, but I'm very happy for the wrestlers because it takes a struggle like this for wrestlers to make more money.
Yeah.
I remember.
And that's what it was when WCW was around. That's when guys were making a ton of money because there was competition for the guys.
I remember when I first knew Jack Armstrong. What I was most curious asking him about
how much was he getting paid?
Well, he was there in Georgia when the whole Ann Gunkel versus Paul Jones territorial battle. And he was saying that was the greatest time. He said guys were making money because both promotions wanted to dick the other one over, and the only way you got loyalty was paying the wrestlers a lot more than you normally would. He says when there's no competition, promotions paid you whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
What I dug about CMLL when AAA came in, it was really mixed because I was a diehard CMLL fan. I was like the traditional lucha guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just the talent in AAA when they first started was just mind-blowing. But at the same time, I heard so many people say CMLL is dead. They're gone.
Well, CML always gets that, like every couple of years.
All the time, yeah.
Dead. And it's like, no, they're still going.
But what I like is
same thing with AAA. They're not going to die. I mean,
they're not going to die. But I remember CML.
They have the bigger risk because they're not. They don't have that home base.
Right.
That AAA that CML has.
Well, everybody was saying, well, CML is not doing anything in return to retaliate or anything, or they're not. And I'm saying they're just weathering the storm, and that's kind of been their history. I mean, I know when Salvador Ludarov was around, he was a lot more ruthless with competition.
Yeah.
He had political power behind him. By political power, I mean
politicians.
Power. Yeah. But in the modern era, it seems like they just weathered the storm.
Well, for CML, a lot of the AAA talent doesn't doesn't gel with their philosophy.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't fit. Which, there's guys in AAA who nowadays they would fit in perfectly because they don't.
Absolutely,
it's not a completely different. It's not a completely.
But even when all those guys like
Cibernetico is probably the one guy that did it. Totally. Him and Electroshock are probably the two people that I would never understand why they would go after.
But when all the guys jumped, Fuerza, when Blue Panther, Aguayo, all those guys went with Pena, I didn't think CML was going to fold, but I did think, oh man, this is really going to overshadow it. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is just because you get all that stellar talent doesn't mean they're going to stay with you for 20 years. And that's what happened. They had hills and valleys, and
that's the thing with Lucha. A lot of these guys are around to their mid-50s.
Yes,
some are still going strong, beyond that. Not as great, but there's still a couple of guys who are very good. But
they're effective. They're effective.
They're still rustling, and that's when Sombra announced he was going to WWE. I had to go, well, worst case scenario. Let's say he lasts as long as Sin Cara, the first Sin Cara lasted 3 years.
Yeah.
He'll be 28 when he comes, or 29 when he comes back.
And he can still come back.
If he gets a long-term career there, 10, 15 years, he'd be what? 40, 41? He'd still be a prime guy in Lucha. He could come back at 45 and he'd still be a pretty effective main eventer. Unless he's actually not had a lot of injuries either, so he's another guy that's kind of not really been through that. That's the other thing, the other difference between him and Mystico. Mystico had already battled a couple of injuries. Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting thing too. He dropped his mask, and that gives a different aura. How he drops his mask, they see Sombra the person, face,
and they probably saw him.
And so now, if he goes to WWE, and then he comes back, it's not like he comes back with a mask, but they say, "Oh, we already saw what he looks like in WWE."
Well, even for maybe not all, definitely not a lot of WWE fans, but maybe the NXT, the more smarter American fans who don't really follow Lucha. Sombra dropping his mask. Maybe they read the news, maybe they saw the picture, maybe they saw it, but maybe they saw the match. He shows up in WWE. Hey, that's Sombra. Even if they give him if they call him Arturo something Gomez or Joe Gomez or whatever, something like that.
Alberto Del Rio.
You know who he is. Whereas Alberto Del Rio, you really had to be a smart.
Absolutely.
It's Dos Caras Jr. Yeah, it helped that too. Oh, the last thing we should talk about is the FantasticaMania tour. It's happening in January.
And our favorite is going back.
Some of our actually, it's a lot of our favorites are going. Last year they had a couple. They had that one person who kind of messed it up for them, Mr. Niebla,
Dr. Jerry Niebla,
who we got a chance to meet right after the tour, actually, because you came to Los Angeles.
Oh, what a nice guy too.
Really nice guy. And I know people are like, oh, they keep saying, it's like, I thought he was a really nice guy. I understand.
Well, that's another reason. I know people think I'm...
People want me to be really harsh towards people. Like, they'll even tweet me and tell me this stuff. Hey, like, they'll be like, kind of like, they'll tell me like something that the guy's an asshole. It's like, yeah, but I don't... It was nice to me. I can't really say shit about him.
And also when
I don't like his matches. I mean, I joke about his matches, but it's like, that's not the same.
That's where I'm a little twisted.
I wish him well. And
I like his matches just for being silly. I love La Peste Negra.
Yeah.
Although I'd rather have Cavernario be the third member.
You know what I've noticed? Yeah, Cavernario is a lot better. You have to have Cavernario and not the original group. It has to be Cavernario with either Mr. Niebla or Felino have to be in or out. It has to be Cavernario and Casas for sure.
Yes,
and one or the other. But if it's Niebla, Felino, and Cavernario, it doesn't work as well because then all of a sudden Carvanario's the only one, and with Casas can pretty much like kind of control the match because you see when something happens with Niebla, Casas kind of just moves him out of the way. Like
absolutely, Negro Casas is the master.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's like,
well, the reason I call him Dr. Jerry Niebla is not just for the obvious, wild man reasons, but Dr. Jerry Graham was a very cordial, fun guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons
that
reminds me of him.
We must have like traffic here or something.
Yes.
I'm like, dude, what's going on
here?
This
is Petticoat Junction.
Yeah, it's like this.
There's Uncle Joe. He's moving kind of slow.
Sounds like there's like a plane or something.
See, this is kind of a Mayberry RFD feel. What we should do is each episode when I read letters, you should start yelling at the guy behind the letter, and then
just transition to the traffic.
Yeah, and then when they hear the traffic, then we want to hear you open the door and scream at the kids.
Damn you, traffic!
Yes, shut up! We're trying to do a radio show here, and you kids get off my lawn.
People probably hear this and they're like, "Man, this guy's angry." It's like I'm really like the most laid back person in the world like, half the time.
Mark, I want to thank you again. And Fredo thanks you, even though he yells at you.
I didn't yell at him. I yelled at him asking because he doesn't know why. I mean, it wasn't him. He just doesn't know.
How wonderful!
I yelled at you more than anything. It wasn't so much you. It was more of the circumstances, and it's hard to explain to people that there's more to doing a podcast than just like, hey, let's just do it, like get together and do it. It's like, no, we have to schedule it.
If I didn't have to work, man, I'd be up for doing this twice a week.
So like Barbara Carbonario, like I was telling you, he shaved. That was the big.
That was a trip.
He shaved. That was the second biggest news yesterday after Sombra signing with WWE.
If I didn't get the heads up that he had shaved, I would not have.
It was so funny because I went over. I was watching. Actually, I was making something to eat. I went over to check on Twitter and I saw this random Mexican dude, unshaven. I'm like, oh, I wonder why the picture. I'm guessing he's probably wearing a shirt, a wrestling T-shirt. So I just, moved the Twitter up scrolled it up to see what was new, and I see Barbara Carnell mentioned taking off a couple of years, and I'm like, really? And then I'm like, holy shit! So then I tweeted him and told him, hey, you're ready for the dance. And I go, I didn't even know who you were without your beard, and he just.
If I didn't get a heads up, I wouldn't have recognized him. And the only thing that I noticed after knowing it was Cavernario was the eyebrows and the eyes. That look.
And then you were asking me, wonder what's up? Maybe it's a gimmick change. Like, no, I think it's probably because he's still in school. I mean, he's.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, maybe he's going to a wedding. I think
that's the first thing I thought. Was there some big family occasion that...
Yeah, it might be a family occasion. He goes to school. Maybe
as long as he doesn't change the gimmick. Yeah. That is the coolest gimmick today.
Maybe he thought he could get more chicks without the beard, Although I told...
I can picture the chicks digging the...
I know, that's what I think. When he fixes his hair, when he pulls it into a ponytail, he looks really cool. Like, he looks very, like...
He is just so awesome.
He's a really good guy. Like, it's amazing how many good guys there are right now in Lucha. Like Volador Jr. was saying that he... When I told him how I thought he was going to be a lot meaner, like, not meaner, just a little more...
coarse.
Yeah, towards us. Yeah. And he said, why would you think that? No, he didn't say, why would you think that? He's like, you're the second person to tell me that. And I said, well, because I just figured we've heard stories about some of the guys from Mexico not being as easy to deal with. And he's like, no, none of the younger guys, that was the past generation.
Because I remember you telling me something about that. Some other guys were saying that.
The younger guys... The Traumas, I think, said that. Well, Negro Navarro said it. The same things. Like a lot of the older guys are like that, He's like, but the younger guys are a lot cooler. And he's like, oh, and you notice that like Titan, Dragon Lee seems like that. I think it's weird because even he talks about Rush being like so angry all the time, and it's like when he's talking about him being so angry, he's like, but when he's out of the ring, he's not as bad as in the ring. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I love when you're telling me about when Rush was recovering from the injury.
Yeah, when he was sedated.
When he had like some, I don't know if it was Vicodin or just some sort of relaxant, but how
I just realized I went into full Rush mode on this poor Mark.
This is true. This is true.
When did I tell you they had Rush on CML Informa, and they were telling him, they were reading him a comment from a fan, and the comment was, the fans like, Rush, my grandmother just watched your match again. I wanted to mention to you that my grandmother got to watch you in a match against Negro Casas, the hair match against Negro Casas. She was a big fan of yours, but the way you acted in that match, she just wants you to know that she really hates you now. And so
that's awesome.
So then you look at his face and he's like, hey, who was that person that sent me that email? And he's like, and JCR, Julio Cesar Rivera's like, it was Miguel, the guy who reads it. He's like, and the guy who reads it, I didn't say it, I didn't make it up. He's like, yeah, you made it up. It's you that go over and slap him a bit, Rush. He's like, no, tell me who the lady. And then he's like, no, it was this person. He's like, well, I just want to tell that girl that I'm gonna send her. The only thing I have for her grandmother are kisses. That's all I have for her, because I feed off of everyone's hatred of me.
This guy's
like,
cool.
He's like, I feed off your hatred. He's like, I'm not a bad guy because I want you guys, because you made me a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy because it's an act. I'm a bad guy because it's in my blood. You know, Arudo. I'm Arudo because it's in my blood. And I'm like,
cool.
This guy's promos, and I'm like, shit, this guy's just. And then they read another email, he just starts laughing. He's like, why are you guys reading this stuff? Stop reading the emails. It's just like nonstop.
He's feeding off it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gold.
No, but that's what he's telling them. Stop reading these things because these people are stupid.
That's
so
funny.
He's like, because he was saying how they're hypocrites. He's like, these people are hypocrites. They go out there and ask me for autographs. I sign their autographs. Because I'm a nice guy. I sign their autographs. I take pictures with them. But you know what? They're hypocrites. Because as soon as I step into the ring, they boo me. And he's like, and I was like, dude, this is hilarious.
This guy's great.
Yeah, he's really good. He had his son on the show. His son was on the show, and he's like, they asked him about his son, and he's like,
was that the little
the little boy, the little kid, the one I took a screenshot of.
That's got to be the most endearing photo I've ever seen.
Yeah, so they asked, they want to know his name, and the little kid just removes his mask and just runs off of his dad's. And you just see him running around. So then they asked Rush about his son, and he's like, so do you want him to be a wrestler? He's like, I'll support my son in whatever he does as long as he doesn't get into ballet and doesn't play with Barbies. And so this one person tweets me, he's like, you know, that's how it starts with Barbies. I start laughing. I was like, oh shit, dude. We can't get into the.
Wouldn't that be funny if Pimpinela jumped and said, "What's that you say about people playing with Barbies?"
Come on. There's a lot of that's one of the things people like.
Oh hell yeah!
This is one of the problems when you have this stuff backstage at lucha shows, wrestling shows. It doesn't mean you're homophobic.
Oh god, no.
It just means these guys like to clown around and they say this stuff. But I mean, some of these guys actually are very open-minded. Where it's like, oh, terrible. They read him a question and they didn't know who the person was, and he's like, who's the person? And he's like, and the guy mentioned the name, and he's like, Julio Cesar was like, I hope it was a girl that said that, and Terry was like, oh, it's okay, I'm open-minded. So they all start laughing.
It's funny. Because I remember. You know, before hanging out with the luchador crowd, the gills and stuff like that, people saying, "Oh, don't gringos saying, oh, don't be effeminate around them. It's a very machismo culture, and if you call them a fag, it's the most insulting thing ever." And there was more homoerotic humor in the gym.
Yeah.
Like they'd be wrestling with you and jump and just start humping your ass to be funny.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, where's this serious machismo I was told about?
But then the thing is, people who don't know that, they actually take it like it's like this really insane thing. Like,
exactly.
Like they take it to the point where it's like, oh, there's something wrong.
I bet you there's things that they see about that badass honkies that
there's stuff in there, and it's not just in there's. I mean,
when you're not around it, you don't see the layers. You don't see the complexity.
It gets a little uncomfortable when you're not used to it, but it's like.
Well, you should watch your P's and Q's when you're with a crowd you haven't been around before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just common knowledge, but at the same time, don't assume extremes.
Yeah. So this is probably one of the better.
FantasticaMania.
The talent that they brought in, Volador Jr., Atlantis. Everybody figured as soon as they didn't announce Sombra for this, I think that's when everybody's like, he's gone. Because one of the things with FantasticaMania, the guy who lost his mask at the anniversary usually shows up at FantasticaMania, works with his mask, then removes his mask. And and when they didn't announce Sombra, everybody was like, okay, he's gone. So Volador Jr. Atlantis, Dragon Lee is going.
Cool.
Maybe he can find that Japanese guy that's sending Kamatachi to attack him all the time, which he's the samurai that he says is allegedly hunting him down.
They should have Mean Gene going down the streets of Japan, helping him find the person.
Yeah,
while he's looking for the giant machine or the.
Barbara Carbonario is going. Fuego, Mephisto,
cool.
Okamura, Goro Maya Jr.
Cool.
Which is kind of a controversial thing. Because if you remember, one of the prizes for En Busca del Ídolo was the winner would go to FantasticaMania.
Okay, yes.
Bobby Z's going. Bobby Z is upset that Goro Maya Jr. is going because he didn't deserve it. Because he didn't win. This is storyline. A lot of people are like...
Okay, gotcha. If that was serious...
Yeah, it's a storyline. I mean, guys, some people read the articles and it's like, my God, you guys know they're like, it's work, right? Like it cracks me up when guys are like really.
But you do hear weird shit like that though.
Yeah, but if it's written, it's work.
Yeah.
They don't tell you this stuff.
I didn't realize it was written. When you're telling
if it's written, it's work. There's stuff like Volador. When I interviewed him, I wrote what he told me in the interview. I didn't tell everybody the real stuff.
I think even if I wasn't like a seasoned wrestling fan, I could tell that was more of a working interview than a interview and a lot.
Well, because what it is like because people are so used to like the Observer and people like shoot interviews and stuff like that. They think it's like there might be something to it. It's like don't read too much into it. And then so Bobby Z said that he didn't deserve it. So then he's on Informa and Bobby Z talked about how he basically he didn't want to say anything bad about Goro Maya Jr. because he wasn't on the show to defend himself. So he's like, obviously he was taking the high road, and he said, obviously Goro Maya Jr. impressed the New Japan Pro Wrestling officials to have him go on the show. But but he's like, we'll deal with this at a later date. I'm guessing they're going to have something because Goro Maya Jr. Goro Maya Jr. then did an interview where he talked about him. But we met Goro Maya Jr. I don't think he has an issue with Bobby Zavala.
Oh God, no. I'm just like salivating at the thought of the matches between those two.
Well, hopefully it's better than the Busca match because in Busca match, remember Bobby Burke suffered a shoulder injury.
True, but that was like
you didn't watch it either, so.
But I mean, I don't think that's gonna be their typical match.
Mystico 2 is going. The Panther, Ultimo Guerrero, Titan, Stuka Jr. Virus is going for the first time for New Japan.
Okay.
He's been to Japan with the CMLL Japan group, remember, back in 2000s?
Yes.
And the last guy going, Hechicero.
No
And
way.
guess what? The New Japan officials mentioned that they were big fans of Hechicero.
No. Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe he'll get the Mascara Dorada treatment? Maybe?
I don't know, because he's kind of got a really...
Fuck, that would be so cool.
Why? That's what you thought with Mascara Dorada. What did he do in New Japan?
I don't care.
He did very little. He did very little.
Yeah, but still, this is...
I don't know, because, I mean, I think it also depends on, like, their situation. Maybe Hechicero would do it for a year. I don't know if it's... I don't think his woman would be too pleased with it, or maybe she would be if she could get a trip out of it.
You never know.
Maybe that she gets a trip out of it. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be something. Even if you didn't get it. Yeah, I mean, I wish I pushed Moscow Dorado more, but I bet you it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yeah, so that's basically what people are trying to figure out more or less who's going to be the one that goes.
Wow.
I mean, there's good options. Dragon Lee.
That's a good crew.
Titan might, although well, Titan as a junior heavyweight, Dragon Lee also. Carbonario they like.
God, I'd love to see him in Japan
for a year.
That'd be bitch.
But he just shaved, so obviously maybe he shaved because it's going to start a new year and he's going to let it go. Just kidding. And I think really the top 4 options are really Coronario, Hechicero, Dragon Lee, and Titan, which kind of sucks because I kind of like all 4 of those guys.
True.
Although I think
that would mean we would have to be watching New Japan.
I do watch New Japan, so Hechicero, not as much, but enough where you have New Japan World, don't you? Just kidding.
I gotta tell you, I went on there and I actually looked at the site and was thinking.
But then you're like, I don't understand what it says.
Well, they have an English version.
Yeah. I still watch DVDs. I still get DVDs, so I don't.
True. I'm debating it. Yeah.
Hechicero. I actually think he would get over in Japan.
I think he would too.
Really over, like with his style.
Hell yeah, that. In fact, I can't remember if we talked about
the Panther would be kind of cool too, like if he just kept that style. But I think he's kind of. They asked the Panther about going to Japan, and he was talking about how he didn't expect to go to Japan so soon because he's only been in the business 2 years.
Right.
Think about that. But I mean, people are thinking, 2 years, which is short. But I think he's 21. I think 21, 22. Yeah. 2 years in the business. But then you got to remember he's probably been in the ring since like he was 4 years old, 5 years old.
It's much different.
Yeah, it's different. Like it's funny when I was reading. I guess Dave Bautista did a interview, and they were talking about how he was in the ring at 16. And I'm like 16. We know wrestlers who started when they were like 7, 8 years old, and like getting in the ring.
I would be curious to know what the youngest. Like official debut of a wrestler in Mexico was because I bet you
probably have to be like 14 maybe.
Yeah,
I think they don't go any younger than that.
Well, I'm sure
actually no, it actually is because that Super Crazy's promotion with the little kids. Remember a couple years ago, like in 2009 or something.
I don't remember that really.
Yeah, there was like a kids promotion. That's where I think Dinastia started.
Because I don't know if I ever told you about this, or if you ever heard about this from somebody else in the 70s in New York. They actually had a kids wrestling promotion.
That sounds like something South Park would do.
It does. But I remember.
Was it South Park that had the crack baby basketball? Yeah, it was. Crack baby basketball.
No, but this was a serious thing where kids who were like around 10 years old would get in there, and this was before the days of crazy moves all the time. They'd just get in there and apparently they were well organized and they.
Kids Lucha Libre League.
There you go.
We would only pay them in candy. Oh my god.
And not like those stupid dumb lollipops.
The profit we could make.
We would give them full-size
$10,
king-size Butterfinger bars.
You have like your world champion is like a 6-year-old, and then you're like, today you're gonna wrestle the toughest guy in the world, and you bring in like some really big guy to beat him up. People would be like so offended.
It's somebody told me that Tim Flowers, before he was Tim Flowers. Actually, they paid him to come in and do some angle where a kid kicks his ass and pins him. Speaking of which, I might have heard this before, but it didn't sink in. But speaking of kids' promotions, remember the old Super Muñeco promotion we heard about?
Yeah, in the early 80s.
I never realized that Amapola married Super Archie.
Yeah, I think that... Are they still married, or was that like a long time ago?
I think they're...
Because I can't remember all that stuff.
Yeah, because I remember reading her profile on Lucha Wiki, and then I was reading some stuff again and said she's married to the former Super Archie Bird Boy.
Wow. So maybe she still probably is married.
Yeah. I wish that there were tapes of those shows.
I wish there was like... I know. Like, Ask Super Muñeco, he has tapes of it.
That'd be awesome.
But I hear he's kind of like a jerk, isn't he? Is he the one that's kind of a jerk? One of them I remember was a bit of a...
Okay, this was years ago.
I know Super Muñeco is the one that's not that's actually a nice. I know he's
because I was going to say when I first knew
he can't be bad.
I don't know if things have changed, but I remember saying somebody said something negative about Super Muñeco, and Conan actually kind of said Super Muñeco is one of the more humble guys I've met. Like, and he said it in a very stern voice,
Super Muñeco, isn't he? Didn't Ciclón Moreliano say he was related to him?
Oh, did he?
I think he said he was related to one of those guys.
It could be, yeah.
I might have been one of those guys when I became when I was hanging down and talking to him.
Yeah.
That was one of those random. That's one of those random things where like you just from you walking around the that party, and I'm just talking to like the most random I didn't even know he was like a wrestler. I just figured, he's
You
just
hit it off with him.
Yeah, we ended up talking about all this lucha stuff. Like,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Me trying to get him to watch Lucha Underground and him not being into it. I was like, dude.
I was just taking my shirt off, drinking heavily, and just,
You dancing with, who was that? What's his name? God, that guy that just lost his mask. God,
what is his name? I was drunk, so
super... He just dropped his mask.
Super Cerveza.
No, it was some other name. I can't remember. Piolín. It wasn't Piolín.
Was it Piolín? No.
Was his name
Was
Piolín?
it?
I think it's Piolín, isn't it?
Might have been.
Something like that. I can't remember his name.
That was a fun party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like on top of that dude on dancing on, what's his name? Che, that dude who just...
Yes! Oh, that guy was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really cool dude.
Really nice guy, yeah. I had to break in him somehow.
That guy was just laughing, and then I think you and Superboy both got on him, and it's like, dude, come on.
Well, we got that great picture of that.
Yeah, jeez.
That was fun.
That was one of those crazy moments.
Totally.
I still think the other one of you dancing in that restaurant was probably the more like the stranger one.
Oh, that was
because that was unexpected.
That was cringeworthy.
That was unexpected because you didn't even drink that much in that one.
I didn't.
That other show, it was like there was fewer people because it was a lot bigger.
Yeah, when I've been drinking, I just kind of start throwing.
And then it was like there was just like they started dancing. And it was more of they did the whole like separated dance type of thing so people could dance in the middle. Whereas in that lady just went over and grabbed you to dance. I was like, what?
Yeah, ladies aggressive with me, I obey. You know, that's me.
So are you going to watch FantasticaMania or are you going to miss that?
I would like to, actually.
Yeah. It should be good.
I actually did watch some of the last.
They were asking Hechisero who he wanted to wrestle, and he's like, he wanted to wrestle Okada and Tanahashi and all these guys. Like, Nakamura. They all want to wrestle Nakamura because I think they all know how cool he is.
I think you told me, but I forget. Who was the brains behind Hechisero's whole image change?
Oh, Canelo Casas.
That made all the difference in the world.
But now he changed. He has a new mask.
Mm-hmm.
The one he wore, I think you might have seen it on the website. The most recent one. It's basically it's hand painted.
Yes, I've seen it. So it's
like it was. Oh, it's the Day of the Dead one. The one he wore at the Day of the Dead.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and so that one is.
Because I remember when he had that kind of hybrid between a Fantomas and Villano outfit. I mean, he's a great worker. He is cool, but.
Yeah,
that whole change completed him, in my opinion.
That's what I was when he the first one. I thought he looked kind of like you were saying, kind of more of a traditional type of wrestler. But the new look plus the fire,
he stands out.
It makes him look like a star, and it's like this is what. And I'm hoping maybe this ends up like elevating him.
Oh, I hope so because that guy deserves it. That guy is just awesome.
He's awesome. Well, see, that's the other thing when somebody leaves a promotion, like Sombra leaving. That gives another person a chance to move up.
Exactly.
It's an opportunity opens up for you. Unless somebody else jumps in and replaces, takes your spot.
And as long as it's
like Sombra. Sombra leaves, Marco jumps into his spot as part of the Ingobernables.
And I love watching that guy.
It's weird. It's like we always talk about Thunder. We don't really talk about. We do talk about Marco, but I mean, Marco. First of all, we should congratulate him in his wedding.
Absolutely.
He just got married to I forgot it, Miroslava.
Yes.
And I don't think he gets enough credit as how good he's adapted into Lucha Libre.
I gotta say,
he's not the greatest worker.
But here's the thing: is
actually he's not bad. He's pretty good. Like when he's with the heavyweight.
Exactly. And if I was just somebody who is turning on Lucha Libre, I didn't know the whole mechanics of working. I still think this guy was great because he's not this super technical guy, but he is really spontaneous
and he still does the spots.
Exactly.
I like. Exactly. I even made a comment because I was watching a match. I think it might have been it had to be one of the recent shows where he gets fouled. Mm-hmm. And you know how he does the stripper dance?
Yes.
He still tries to get up to do the stripper dance, but then he falls down because he can't do it. He got fouled.
I haven't seen that spot.
Yeah, he's really good at the comedy spots. I noticed he's really good at that stuff, like comedy. He gets the comedy really quick.
And it doesn't seem contrived or anything.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have somebody who is spontaneous and who can get a good pop out of the crowd and just be effective. I don't care if they're not a great technical wrestler.
I think just punches. He can punch, though. I mean, that's
yeah.
I love his punches because they just come out of nowhere, like just boom, and knock somebody out.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
I do get on him when he starts tossing me hair around. That's the only thing. He knows I don't like that.
Have you written him about it?
Oh, yes, he's seen it. He's seen it on Twitter.
Oh, what you got to do is you got to get a back and forth letter writing campaign, and that way we can read your letters to Marco Corleone. And, okay, he'll write back shouting, and I'll read the shouts. I'll shout at you.
We won't shout. We get along. I get along with everybody. What are you talking about? I just shouted this time because people have been asking me when we're doing another podcast.
What's fun about that is
because he's not the only person that asked this week. It was
oh my god! If we could get you and Brian Alvarez to shout at each other,
that would happen. That would probably happen.
That'd be awesome.
Like if we got into an argument over something, because he's right now. Do you remember 1996? Juventud Guerra, 1996. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Juventud Guerra in 1996?
Was this WCW?
WCW, yeah, I guess. WCW.
Was this post losing? Because I don't remember when he dropped the mask, all that.
No, 1996 was when he first started in WCW.
I totally dug him, but they buried him.
Yeah, but he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. He was buried, right? Brian Alvarez claims Juventud Guerra was awful in 1996.
Brian Alvarez, you and I are going to have words.
And so, he wants people to prove to him, and it's what's the point? Because if you believe that, it's obvious. Because his work in AAA was great in 1996.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because I even looked at it, and I was like, he was in 1996. I think it was AAA, and I think he might have... I think ECW was, late 95, probably, for him. And then, then it was WCW in 96. And it's I don't remember him being bad. I would have remembered him being bad. I don't remember him being bad in 96. He was great in 97, 98. But it takes a while for a guy to get used to working. He wrestled Joe Gomez. Hard work Bobby Walker. I mean, come on. What do you want him to look like? He's
squashed him. They'd make it look like, hey, here's Juventud Guerra.
He had tag matches against the Nasty Boys.
God.
I mean, come on. What do you want him to do? He had good matches. I think I remember the weekend shows. He had good matches.
There were so many...
This is the bad thing about people when they start looking back on matches, because they start changing their opinion on guys. It's no, your first opinion is usually probably the right one.
Yeah,
because you weren't wrong. If you think you know what you're talking about, you should be sure that you're it's like basketball.
Remember how we were talking about how when you're a kid, there might be a guy who wasn't a good worker, but you totally dug them.
Yeah,
that's the greatest thing about watching wrestling from childhood and knowing what rang your bell. Because I think a lot of people when they're older and in the business, they're looking at it from a wrestler's perspective instead of a fan's perspective. I think
they kind of think they're smart, really smart, and it's
and the fans are dumb, and they're going to fool the fans.
They're the smart fans, so all of a sudden these other fans don't know what they're talking about. Whereas it's no, there's you can't really...
Yeah, well, when I was
you can't tell people what to like and not like, because everybody's going to have a different opinion.
Exactly, and when I wrestled at All Nation on a regular basis, I was heel, I tried to think of stuff that pissed me off when I was a kid and watched wrestling. I didn't try to think of somebody's philosophy on how to get over as a heel so much, but I thought, what did the heels do when I was a kid that really got me pissed off? And that's the great thing about being a little kid and a mark, is... It's it goes to the heart of the matter. God damn it, he did something messed up.
Well, it's Missing Link. Mm-hmm. He was horrible in the ring, but I dug the look.
Exactly.
And even though I was a kid, I knew he wasn't... I could tell the difference between him and Terry Gordy. Terry Gordy was a badass, could work.
Yes.
I may not know what working was. I may have not heard that term. But I knew he could wrestle.
Absolutely.
Chavo Guerrero. Mm-hmm. I knew he could wrestle. Missing Link couldn't wrestle. You could tell the difference.
That was when I started watching LA, there were some really good workers, but the two that I saw and I said, whoa, wait a minute, there's something about these guys. And the two were Raul Mata, the other was Jack Briscoe. Jack Briscoe got in there, I'm saying, whoa, wait, this guy has something the other guys don't have. And the same when I see Mata doing those hurricanranas and stuff.
So when
whoa.
When you look at 1996 with Juventud Guerrera, it's he was good. The problem was he wasn't really booked in a way where he was going to shine,
There were a lot of luchadors.
There were a lot of guys who were like that, yeah. There were a lot of guys. Like Villanos, you would have to watch, and I think that's the problem. He's not watching Saturday Night. He's not watching all this other stuff. Because,
right.
I remember watching Saturday Night, WCW Saturday Night religiously, and Juventud Guerrero was really good. He had matches with Rey Mysterio all the time on that show for a bunch of throughout the run with WCW. It's like he was good.
Yeah, and it's like
I should look for my tape with all the WCW Saturday Night stuff. I think I put on DVD.
Well, and I think there's a lot of people who religiously watched the Monday night show, but they didn't
watch the
know
weekend.
Saturday night existed.
Or Pro.
Seriously.
The 6 in the morning show that I used to wake up and watch, and it'd be like, "Oh, I'm watching this." It's
see, we were rabid fans.
Yeah,
when we were kids, like most kids.
You can't go back. You can't go back and say, "Oh, this guy sucked." Then it's like you're only watching Nitro. Guys weren't really certain guys weren't being featured on that show. The guys who were really some of those guys were getting featured on the Pro, Saturday Night, the Main Event.
Well, when I was a kid,
Worldwide.
there were 2 live shows. Same promotion, LaBelle promotion, but Saturday night was the live Channel 13 studio show, 90 minutes, and then Wednesday night was live from the Olympic Auditorium on the Spanish International Network. And the funny thing is, I'd be talking with my friends at school, and all of them watched the Saturday night show. And I say, "Wait, you don't watch the Wednesday night show?" And they look at me.
There's a Wednesday.
No, they knew, but why didn't they watch it? It's in Spanish. I can't understand what they're saying.
Oh, jeez.
I think they're wrestling.
That's what I've always hated when they tell me about they're barely getting into lucha.
Yeah.
It's like I don't understand. I don't know what they're saying. It's different. It's like, you watch Japanese wrestling? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you understand Japanese? No. So then what the fuck's your deal?
Exactly.
I mean, it's the same shit. It's wrestling.
Exactly.
You're gonna watch it no matter what. I mean, and you're gonna find cool stuff no matter what.
Yeah, there's a little spin on every style you watch, but if you watch it week after week, you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
There's stuff there's no logic in anything nowadays, anyways.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. When I watch a lot of 6-man tags in AAA, I feel like I'm watching an all-out brawl with no rhyme or reason, where I see a lot more of the whole captains thing in CMLL.
Yeah, because they work them completely different.
And I think that's one of the things
because it's one fall.
Yeah,
AAA is one fall, so it's like there's a big difference in that.
Yeah, and even with good workers, it seems almost like a big cluster to me. That's just my take on it. Where CMLL, it's not like it was 30 years ago, obviously, but still there's that kind of rhyme and reason where you either want to pin the captain or you want to pin the other 2 members of the team.
And then it becomes very predictable too, because you're getting that really short first fall, or you're getting the foul. It's very predictable.
Yeah, something that they used to do, that they in the 80s.
Because there's been a lot of people who suggest that they stop doing the 3 fall thing, but it's I mean, I think Conan might have been one of the people.
He was one of the ones who said,
and it's like it's better for it to be. It's not that they have to change it. It's that they have to change how they end the match.
Or have some 2 fall matches.
Better yet,
straight 2 falls.
Improve the matches. It's not necessarily the fall. It's the improvement of the matches, and not just the matches. The television, the way they air the show, sometimes kind of edits out.
Yep. So absolutely.
We've watched some CMLL, and there's a difference when it's a good match because of the talent in the match. 3 falls, you can watch it. It's the greatest thing ever, and then all of a sudden you get the Thunder. The Thunder team versus Ultimate Guard. It's like, oh god!
And you don't care who wins. You just want the next match to happen.
And the worst thing is Rey Scorpion is in CMLL right now. He's in the U.S. right now. He takes about 4 months and comes over here.
I have an idea.
I think he's trying to get residency over here.
Let's win the lottery.
Why don't we start a wrestling promotion with Rey Scorpion? He's actually pretty good.
That'd be cool.
Why isn't he getting a WWE? He would actually. I don't know.
Because he's
too short.
No, he's psychic, and he knows that we will win the lottery. Even though we don't play the lottery, but we're going to win it.
I think he's great.
Holt Street Wrestling, we're still going to do it.
Holt Street Wrestling. Yes. He's the featured star. We'll talk him into it. We'll pay him all the money.
Did I tell you when we started joking about Holt Street Wrestling about I was channel surfing one night
and somebody actually started it?
There were some. There's one of those
Did we explain how we came up with Holt Street Wrestling?
Oh,
Holt Street Wrestling we came up with because I usually go get a haircut around that area, and at the time I go get a haircut, there's hose. A lot of hose.
Holt Street in Pomona is the gnarliest section of Pomona. Am I right?
They're good looking though.
They're beautiful. Some of them are, but
there's some that aren't.
But it's a gnarly section of Pomona. I was about 3 years ago. I was in standstill traffic on Holt Street
because it looks like it's an old looking. It still looks like from the 70s and 80s.
Oh, if you were a writer and you wanted to get a good scene for a reel,
like a Mexican type of like, what is a Mexican community in the United States? It kind of feels like that.
Yeah, but also a very badass area. I mean, just not like East LA where there's neighborhoods with lawns and homes. Yeah. This is
and it's just this street because everything else actually looks like kind of like LA. Like it looks like it has neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yes. But I was picking somebody up at the airport about 3 years ago, and there's a big SIG alert in the freeway, so Holt Street was jammed like for miles, but that was still the quickest way. So I'm on Holt Street in that just ratty section, and it's pitch black, and traffic starts to move, and somebody runs right in front of my car, and I slam onto my brakes, and it's a guy, and I'm going, what the hell? And
that's the other thing that happens in Holt Street wrestling. Holt Street. People cross the street without really caring.
But this guy had a reason. I didn't realize at the time. There was a woman chasing him, trying to kill him. And I don't mean just mad. I mean trying to She looked rabid. She looked crazy, and I just sat there for a second. One, freaked out that I almost ran somebody over. But we were talking we want to get the cheapest little hall there.
And and the reason that also came out is because there's actually what are those veterans?
Those veterans halls.
Yeah,
the American Legion
Hall.
Hall.
There's a Legion Hall right down the street, and this was back when I was actually thinking about running shows, and I joked we should run Holt Street Wrestling, and so we were going to make it this incredibly strange wrestling, only a little more offensive.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it would have been a little bit more over the top because we were going to actually have make it look even worse. If that's even possible. But then we kind of we weren't really sure because we didn't want to go through the whole process of actually running.
Johnny Legend would fly in to do a run-in just to say no. Oh, I promote the worst wrestling, not you.
The other cool thing about the Legion Hall is that it's actually they have a gated parking lot, but within the gated parking lot, there's a barber shop. I don't know if it's just for the veterans, but it's a really nice looking barber shop, and I thought, hey, that's a great place. If we're going to do a hair match. They could actually have the barber right there. We could actually.
That'd be great. The barber comes in. Oh, I love it.
You could actually bring the wrestler to the barber shop and have him get his head shaved.
I love it. See,
actually do it all professional. Have him actually get covered up and shave his beard and stuff.
We had no qualms on the quality of the wrestling. All we have to do is hire 6 wrestlers. We just change costumes every hour and make it obvious too. Make sure that everybody knows it.
Pay the building. Get chairs. Well, they probably have chairs.
Yeah. Or if they don't have chairs, we could get some old mattresses.
Just stand. We could just stand.
Yeah. Or
I'm pretty sure they have drinks there, so they could just stand and drink their beers.
But there's a liquor store right next door. We could buy just.
No, they have a Little Caesars.
Even better.
Little Caesars. We get Little Caesars. Sell a slice of Little Caesars for $2. And how much is Little Caesars? $5?
Yeah.
I even came up with the math. If it has 10 slices. Just cut it an extra half. Get 20 slices out of it.
Do an angle where the guy delivering the pizza does a run-in.
Yeah, and delivers the pizza comes in. Yeah.
He beats up one of the wrestlers because they didn't tip him.
Yeah.
We got good shit going here, man.
This is a good idea. I think we should. I think this is a revival of Holt Street Wrestling.
I think so.
The outrage from the show. We might end up either doing more podcasts.
Absolutely.
Start Holt Street Wrestling. Or do none of the above.
But Mark Bowden should pat himself on the back because he got us fired up tonight.
Yeah, he got us thinking.
Rocking.
Usually it's only Rush that gets me fired up. Oh, and here's the trade again.
I wouldn't trade this for the world. Walnut kills. Where in Walnut kills, where friends meet and enemies.
And then each match will end here, the sign that says Walnut kills.
Yes. Oh.
Don't get mad at it.
We could hire some of the hoes, but it'd be legitimate work. We'd bring back apartment house wrestling. Here in Walnut Hills, we'll have them apartment house wrestling in bikinis, and we'll just...
That would be genius. Well, you could do it in Pomona.
That's true.
There's that hotel. There's that sleazy hotel room. There's that sleazy hotel room.
We'll do it there, or at the trailer park.
No, remember that hotel place that's right next. It's
that has weekly rates.
Yes, it's like this blue, like it's even got like you even have like couches out there, like dirty couches and stuff.
I love it. Yes.
We could just film it there, like it'd be like the worst, like people would be like, what the hell are we watching? And that
would be the point.
We'll have Bix be the announcer.
Yes.
David Bixenspan will be the announcer. We won't tell him what's going to happen, and we'll just have him be like, what the hell's going on here?
And right in the middle of the match, he'll notice, look at that guy across the street whose pants are down. I think he's doing something very unchristian now.
What is that guy doing?
That would be golden. Oh,
Bix is missing his future as Holt Street Wrestling and as the Holt Street Wrestling.
Exactly. He's meant for something like that.
I think we gotta get him. We gotta convince him to be the announcer if we ever do this.
Oh, I missed that. I miss his run-ins on Slamstan. How we talk about something and then he'd bring up, did you see what Bill Watts posted about...
He brought something up on one of his shows, and it kind of got Chris Zellner sidetracked, and Chris Zellner was talking about it, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, let's go to something else. And I was just laughing, like, oh my goodness.
But you know what I loved about it, too? It was always legitimate, too. It wasn't a rumor he heard.
Yeah.
Like, Bill Watts actually had a page talking about how if you're a man who receives oral sex from another man, you're not gay. But if you're giving it to another man... if anybody else told me this, I thought, you're making that up, man. But there it was.
Yeah, Bix is crazy.
Oh, he's great. Yep. Well, we're going to snag him, and we're going to get a contract signed before another promoter does.
So well, how long has this show gone?
This is...
We will.
Oh my gosh, 2.5 hours.
We'll talk about Lucha Underground next time.
Yes, we will.
Well, actually, when it starts, because people already told they don't want spoilers, so I don't.
Absolutely, we won't spoil it. We'll watch the show and then inform.
Or do you mean Fredo will watch it?
Yes, Fredo will watch it.
Yeah,
and I will not agree. You know what I should do? I should start scolding you for not
watching the more AAA.
Watching it. No, not watching Lucha Underground and giving like a more detailed analysis. I'll say, why am I holding this microphone, Fredo?
Detailed analysis, I'll just write it and read it.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I think this is the second time we've done like an over 2-hour podcast ever, I think.
Yeah, because we had a lot of news with Alberto.
Yeah, well, this was...
And then you read emails and stuff. It's
absolutely.
Like,
I had a blast. Well, again, thank you to anybody who has stuck it out this long.
Yeah, and I'm not mad. Don't get all upset. This is just part of my whole routine.
Absolutely. And we will say, though, do send the emails.
It's part of my rage.
To me.
Yeah,
yes.
The only reason I have people send you the emails because you're actually this is like the one thing you actually do of wrestling kind of related.
Plus, I deal with a handful of emails where you get emails.
It's not just like emails. Like if you can find me on Twitter. You can ask to me on Twitter. I always answer on Twitter.
And me on Facebook.
I'm on Twitter.
Also, we're
to
all
me,
there.
To me, I've transitioned from email to Twitter more now. Like when it comes to this sort of thing.
I've noticed. I see your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
You know, I have you as one of my favorites, so I have to clear my Twitter feed every hour.
Yeah, because sometimes...
But your tweets are good. They're quality tweets. You know? If there's anybody else, I'd think they're tweaked.
I don't tweet as much. It's usually because on the Wednesday... These last couple of weeks, because there's been a lot of news, but Wednesday I do the CMLL Informa, and that's when I really do tweet.
Well, what I dig
and the matches.
And what I also dig is...
No, actually, I do tweet a lot.
As a Lucha fan who still doesn't speak Spanish, I love getting the narration.
Well, see, that's the thing.
That's what I did.
It was funny. Someone asked us to do the narration, and I didn't answer because I was like, dude, I already do that. I mean, how can you not notice that?
Yeah, if you follow Fredo and favored him, you're gonna get up to date Lucha stuff. The Informa stuff is really cool stuff. It's kind of trivia stuff, but it's
sometimes
really
it's not.
Cool.
Sometimes it's not very informative.
But it's fun.
There's like lately they've had the legends. Like a lot of some of the people like that I recap the Edecanes when they were on the Ring Girls.
Yes.
And now that they're not on, they've had like the legends, and some of the legends, like I told you, some of they leave a couple of little tidbits.
Yeah.
So that actually are entertaining, stuff that you don't really know that you could add to like stuff that you're writing or whatever. And then then you have the current guys who are, especially Rush. Rush is really like good at this. Hechicero's really good.
Yes.
I think Hechicero, I think people are probably thankful that I do Hechicero's like when he's on, because he's a very talkative guy, and he's one of those guys who answers really long questions. Like his answers to questions are really long. So
very cool.
So those guys are the more interesting.
And I hope 2016 will be Barbaro, Averno, and Hechishiro's year.
I think it's going to be. I'm sure we'll be happy and disappointed when we see who ends up staying in New
Japan. Yes.
If they continue that,
we should have betting odds.
I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be Dragon Lee. I'm thinking
You're
it might be.
You're right.
I just think
if I were to be able to choose myself, I'd probably pick Hechisero.
Yeah, I'm guessing because they said he was a favorite. I think there's a nice outside chance he might, because he's also a lot older.
True.
Whereas Dragon Lee's 20, I think maybe they think maybe he's too young to be on his own. They'd have to babysit him a little more, especially maybe they want to.
Of course, maybe they kind of like the fact kind of doing the mentor thing.
Yeah, that maybe get him developed in that. Yeah.
But
well, hopefully Sombra at some point will debut in NXT. I'm guessing probably next year he'll debut.
Man, I might have to get that channel now.
I have Hulu. It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Oh, but I'm not going to get that channel. In fact,
no, if you don't have Hulu though, you might get it. I don't know.
In fact, Lance Storm makes some joke. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or on Facebook, but he says why am I paying $9.99 a month for something I can get for free elsewhere?
Oh, it's on free on Hulu?
I'm assuming.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I'm assuming he was referring to something on the network that most people think you have to subscribe to, but you can.
Yeah, because on Hulu you get NXT, Raw, and SmackDown.
Oh wow.
Raw, but the Raw is the 90-minute version. Which
I'd rather watch the 90-minute version.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'd rather watch it. I'm guessing. I don't really watch SmackDown, so I don't really know. But Raw, I watch it. Half of it.
I was going to say I might start watching Raw if it was only 90 minutes.
Yeah, on Hulu it is. And NXT, I don't really have the time to watch it because, I mean, like I said, you've seen the Twitter. Lucha.
Yep.
Monday, Puebla. Friday, CMLL. And then Wednesday, Informa. And then, like, in between, there's all these other things I end up watching or doing. And it's like, it's nonstop.
Boy, I'm glad I wasn't a kid in the internet age. My parents would have put me away. I would have been glued to the TV and the computer and just wrestling.
It's all wrestling.
Oh, man. Well, thank you, everybody who have taken the ride with us these last few hours. We had a blast. We hope you have too. And we'll come back feisty as ever in 1, 2, 3 weeks, whenever it is. It'll be soon. That will be the Vegas betting odds. When will be the next podcast in Walnut Kills?
3 weeks.
And until that time, I want to quote the great Australian philosopher Lord David Dundas when he says, "When I wake up in the morning light, I put on my jeans and I feel all right. I put on my blue jeans. I pull my old blue jeans on. Till next time, cats, take it easy."